I think I still have to go with the just raw ability of Falcons. Even if they're a team in shambles, even if there's chaos, even if there's carnage going on right now, I still have to believe that at some point they're going to show up at this tournament. At some point Nico is going to take over. At some point we're going to see Dexter have flashes. And here's the other thing. If he is going out of this team at the end of this tournament, as people are expecting, this is a good opportunity for him to show just how good he can be on his way out. So I'm expecting the Falcons to do some work here. First up is going to be Nuke. And we see paiN Gaming on that T side already rushing down onto ramp.
Yeah, I love it. Let's not delay. Let's get into the action. So we're off to the races already. It's a nice little goosh onto Tess's. Sends him packing, and now they're going to be advancing down towards the lower bomb site. Nico cracks open the door and cracks Davidea's skull at the very same time. Demo, though, the young kid, fighting back. 2 Glock kills coming back, and it's a 4 versus 3 all of a sudden. I don't exactly know how he managed to get both of them, but that is really going to tilt it in favor of paiN Gaming here.
Will Dexter could have the drop, though. He knows the player in shadow is Demo, but he's also kind of getting baited out from the player he spotted momentarily in the form of Snow, who's now backed off. They have control over Heaven, and also Bigger Zero on A, absolutely. They have this site locked down, so now it's just about transitioning the bomb across and getting that plant into play.
They had to do a lot of mid-round calls to get into this position, and you could see Falcons, because I think because of the Demo double kill downstairs, they just all rotated down to the B bomb side. They were so panicked that it was about to be a bomb plant, so they just went for it, and then they lost control of the A site, and now they're actually in a fair bit of trouble here. No kit in play. Even if there was one, it would be down. Oh my god, what a shot. He's just deleted Snow. Mid-air, he didn't even touch the ground there. Speaker Zero, now just jiggling back and forth, and NQC comes in to help out. Great teamwork here between the last 2 players of paiN Gaming. They're going to be able to win the pistol round, but that shot from Kicksan was a thing of beauty.
Oh, it was incredible, wasn't it? And that gave them the 3v2. There's a second where your heart kind of skips a beat. You think, oh, here we go. This is the Falcons we're expecting to see. But they just sliced them, diced them. There's a great crossfire between Bigger Zera and NQZ from Heaven. Great shot from Kicksan. But then Bigger Zera dealing damage. NQZ managed to make a move at the right time as well. Didn't bait his teammate out, but joined him. And that secures the first round. They take first blood. And keep in mind, elimination on the line. If Falcons lose this, they are done, and they get knocked out 0-3, and that feels like it's just unthinkable.
I'm glad you brought that up. We should have mentioned that right at the start. This is elimination, and it's just, that puts so much pressure on you, right? It would be unthinkable, and at the same time, it'd also be somewhat predictable just based on the history of the team so far in Counter-Strike. So let's see how this one plays out. It is going to be Big Zero going down early. Magic's also going to be, Omega's going to be falling next, so 4 versus 4, and we've got some decent weapons on the Falcon side. Double Deagle, Scout, and the MP9 there on Tess's. So definitely not the kind of round you can just walk straight through here if you're paiN Gaming. Very important you don't give this one back. Nico's going to be just holding the gap with a smoke. And yeah, he's not intention to fight there. Just wants to throw down the smoke and escape.
Stalling out that time, giving them more options. 50 seconds left on the clock. And you can see that the paiN Gaming squad right now, they are pretty split up, but they're starting to make moves down on Secret. They still have outside control, though, under wraps. Sure, there's Dexter up in Heaven with the Scout, so they'll be thinking better of that. The aforementioned smoke now starts to fade, and Nico with the Deagle on Nuke, pardon me. There's always the capabilities of him just popping off and taking domes, and that Molotov baits him into a false sense of security. He'll punish Snow.
It looked like it spread on top of him, and maybe right at the end it actually did, but yeah, regardless, a lot of damage. Oh, he bumped into his teammate, and the grenade went the other way around the silo. Now, it's not going to cost him anything this time, but that is potentially a dangerous mistake. The Scout strikes down NQC, and it leaves Davideus a bit of an awkward spot here. They know he's back there somewhere, but it doesn't matter. The Galil, the straight laser headshot to take down Dexter, and they survive the round paiN Gaming. And you know what? In spite of that being very close, something that I am happy about is the fact that they made some decisions here, paiN, before they were going to run out of time. But if you remember that game yesterday, Vince, there were so many rounds where paiN were down to sub 10 seconds trying to get onto the bomb site. It was kind of hard to watch. It really was.
No, 100%. Like, it felt like time was probably their worst enemy a lot of the rounds, as you mentioned, and they were getting punished time after time after time. It was a big reason why we saw paiN end up losing. They had opportunities. They could on another day even got the W. So have they learned from those mistakes? Also, is it within Falcons to punish those mistakes? We'll have to wait and find out. In terms of early damage, though, it is so one-sided. Tess is down to 46. They've lost Nico already. And so it's looking good for paiN to dial in a third here as they're taking outside control with the MAC-10.
Yeah, respect to Davideus for, I think, realizing there was an M4 out there somewhere, and he's just not going to fight it from the silo. There's so little to gain. Maybe you get one more kill, but you also potentially could give a space back into the round. There's no head armor here on Tessus, so even the MAC-10, he's low on health as well. Could be kind of dangerous. He does find an interesting timing, and actually, it fails the Molotov, or it forces the Molotov to fail, and then he's going to end up falling back with the rest of the team. Under a minute now, but it is really about Tessus and that. And look at how mobile he's being. He's been outside, then ramp, now he's back up heaven again. He's trying to relocate himself so that they just never really know where he is.
And this time, definitely not taking any chances with the timer. Down there with 40 seconds, backstab. Snow finding Magisk and doubles up, going to be called back into action. A lot of damage to Dexter, and it's only the MAC-10 that trades hands. Worthwhile endeavor for Snow. He's done his job. As it looks, paiN will too. No real way forward from the Falcons. They want to keep this M4 alive into the next round, and although the MAC-10's not ideal, it at least does buffer up their buy just that little bit if they want to hold on to it. But Dexter has been found wanting outside. Davideus punishes him. And I know you're a sucker for stats, Anders. Here's a really sad one if you're a fan of Falcons. In their last 9 best of 3s, they've only won 2, and that's against FURIA and the Huns. And in the games they've lost, they've only picked up 3 maps.
Yeah. I mean, it's... You struggle to come up with, like, you know... I think as casters especially, we have this, this need to rationalize a bunch of things, you know? You always try and find, like, well... You know, on the other side of things, they've got great jerseys. You know, you're trying to find some way to make it seem like it's not as gloomy as it seems. But the truth is, there is, like, I always, this happens so often when I'm covering a Falcons games. I find myself laughing my way through it because I don't really honestly know how to cope with it otherwise. You know, so yeah, just take with that what you will. But it is obviously pretty grim. There's no, even the stats aren't going to be lying this time. So 3-0 lead here for Inferior paiN. Now, obviously, this is going to be the first buy round. Davideus is going to be taking down Dexter and Demo through the smoke as well, finding a headshot. I was about to, you know, trying to tell a little story about, you know, it doesn't matter. It's the first buy round coming up now. Falcons have a chance to prove themselves right here, but that chance is looking slimmer right now. Nico's still alive, and that's good news.
Yeah, he is definitely a huge component of this team. Oh, the damage, though, through the smoke and through the wall. It's a position that they would know that he loves to play. He's been punished so far. It's unconfirmed damage for the most part, but there is Tessus, a player that has so much capabilities. Headshots galore, and he's given the advantage to Falcons. Nico's also able to somehow pull out his inner Houdini and escape through the smoke. Double spray down from Magisk. He picks up Big Azera, and suddenly it's down to the new recruit, Demo.
There was a real chance there that Nico was going to get shot by his teammate in the back. I think he actually did hit him, but this is a huge turnaround in this individual round for Falcons. It's going to be Nico going down, but 35 seconds. Like I said, 17 years old, playing now against someone, a legend like Nico, and you're trying to hold your cool here. It's not going to be easy. Magisk waiting for him on the other side, and it will be Demo to go down. Now, it's an important round for Falcons to pick up early on here. They're going to steal a couple of AKs. You have to highlight the fact that if Tessus doesn't get the double kill there towards lobby, which is really great, but in another world, he should be traded out by Davideus pretty much every time. So it's a hard thing to rely on, but I do like the aggression from Falcons. I think it's nice for Tessus to have the space on the team to be able to move up and actually make a play like that.
And super important for the overall just vibe check and sort of confidence for Falcons. You don't want to be going down 4-0 on your seat to the side of Nuke. So picking up a quick fire double, giving them a chance here. Something to get excited about. Something to hype up the rest of the crew. But can they get that all-important consistency? Can they thread these rounds together? Because once again, another buy comes in, and Snow getting aggressive with that MAC-10, waiting for the smokes to plume, and he'll be pushing straight into Secret.
Okay. Didn't even need the HE to break open the smoke out there. Dexter, just straight cheating. It's going to be Snow going down next to Nico. Clean headshots coming through on this one, and you know, it really is just the fundamentals here for Falcons, right? Try and get control of the money on that CT side, build a bit of a buffer, Because some of the earlier damages, well, paiN is going to be running out of money maybe a little bit sooner than they would have hoped for here. So, to be honest, if you're paiN right now, you're down 2 people already. The big deal would be get a couple of kills and get a bomb plant. At least then it's not a completely failed round. We'll see how far they get into that adventure, though. We're about 45 seconds left, and they're pretty set on trying to hit this B bomb site. Tesses, nice off-angle position. Could be kind of hard to clear, and now he's going to go in and with no Molotovs on the other side. He's very hard to dig out of this corner. Going to be an HE, but that doesn't really accomplish the same thing at all. Flash is going in. Nico does get dropped, but and Tessa's just standing there. No real coordination between Nico and Tessa's. I hate everything about it.
I do from the side of Falcons, but I love everything about it from paiN. It's a great orchestrated HE into Shadow. They then pop flash out, so Nico couldn't really deal any damage on the approach. They divide and conquer and surgically remove the 2 players into a post plant, and suddenly now they have the player advantage. From a 5v3 to a round-winning position, paiN have snatched this away.
Super unfortunate. Absolutely right about the grenades, though. That really did make a big difference, but... You know, if you just freeze the round there, if you show me a screenshot of the positions with Nico and Tessis in those positions, I'm not going to go ahead and guess that it's going to be a flawless take of the bomb side and that paiN will just get the bomb plant with no casualties on their side. That just seems so unlikely to me, but that's exactly where we ended up, Vince. So 4-1, paiN, that is a critical round. It's really, really early on, and now is as good a time as any to remind the people at home, this is an elimination game. So losing rounds like these, 5-on-3s for Falcons, that's how you're going to get eliminated.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And don't they know it? And I was just saying before about them getting hyped up. Like Tessis pops off, gets his beautiful double he had no right to pick up, as you highlighted. We heard the screams, the cheers, the reaction from Falcons. And then it's as flat as a fart in the wind here, Anders. They've then lost a 5v3. It's going to be like a graveyard on that Discord, that TeamSpeak again. Oh, man. The Nuke CT side, this is where you need to be posting up some serious rounds to kick things off. And although they do have some weapons to play with, they're hanging by a thread economically. You can see the damage it's done. Like, multiple players, around $100 or less. They're in real trouble.
I feel like I'd be fired so quickly if I was playing on this team. I mean, not just because I'm, not anywhere near as good as Counter-Strike as these guys, but also because I wouldn't be able to not make a joke about, losing these rounds. Like, I just couldn't. That's the only way I could deal with it, Nice HE to blow this open. Nico's going to go down. There's nobody covering him. Magus is up on the hut, but he was busy looking the other way. And I'm not sure why, because they had a player in heaven as well. So Magus doesn't have to be covering the hut side either. Nico probably going to be a little bit unhappy about that, but great play from Magus right here. It's Big0 to go down. 3 versus 3 once again. And potentially an opportunity for Falcons to rectify what went wrong in the last round. It's Snow with a nice crouch, though. Tessis maybe could have won that fight, but it's going to be traded anywhere elsewhere on the map. So we're into a 2 versus 2 with a minute left. And these kind of rounds are hard to play on the CT side now. That's a lot of time to wait. Typically, that's where people end up making mistakes.
Oh, definitely. And there's a lot of angles that you have to be cognizant and wary of as well. And as each second passes, they're going to start to worry about a potential peek from heaven. If the wraparound comes from paiN, we already saw in the pistol round, they were happy to try and exploit that. So you can see Majors for the time being, he's got his eyes on Hut and Squeaky, but at some stage he's going to be thinking, well, hold on a second, could they be up in heaven? Obviously, we have the benefit of knowing that's not the case because paiN are slowly sneaking their way down onto the B site. Snow joined alongside NQZ, 30 seconds left, going to have to start to pick up the pace, but because the double doors are opened, it's not going to give a sound cue across the Falcons. As far as they're concerned, they have no idea where paiN currently are.
Molotovs. I almost wish they would have saved at least one of them, but obviously they don't know what we know, so they're hoping that they're going to be able to get the bomb plant behind it. 9 seconds here. Bomb is going to be planted, and Swift running out here from the door. They're just not going to slow this down. Falcons looking for the retake. They desperately need it. Down to the 1 versus 1, and with 5 bullets left, down to 3 for Dexter, and it's not enough. NQC will take him down instead, and it's a close round, but it's paiN Gaming coming out on top, and that is going to put a lot of pressure on that Falcons economy. I'm sure they're going to try and do something in this round, but my God, it's as close as it can get.
And this is off the back of using a tactical timeout just to get themselves on the same page, and that page just gets torn out of the playbook and thrown, scattered into the ground. And again, you're talking about if you don't want to get eliminated, you have to win these 5v3s, but you've got to win the 2v2s as well, especially when you get the players out there in bulk and you've got an opportunity to try and snatch that away. paiN gaining 5-1 to the good, and it's just looked... Sure, there's been a couple of dodgy moments from the Falcons, but paiN are looking like they've just arrived on the serve that little bit sharper.
They haven't. They have tactically as well. You know, the way that they set up the opening for that last round was they had a smoke on the A side of Mini, and then they themselves blow open their own smoke so that they can kill Nico. But when that smoke goes up, Nico's thinking, okay, that's fine. It's not a problem because inside of the bomb side, I've got a player on the hut and I've got a player in heaven. So I don't actually have to worry about that smoke. I just have to worry about Yard. So Nico's happy to turn his back to Mini and the A bomb side, and it's just looking for Yard. But when the smoke disappears behind him, he's completely caught with his pants down. Very good. And at the beginning of this round, you see, like, it's a simple trick, right? But double HE to go over the CT container out there. These are all those little tricks that just show you that paiN are coming into this with a really strong game plan. They know exactly what they want to be doing. And so far, it's actually working remarkably well.
No doubt, and they have changed the pace of the rounds. You know, we were discussing some concerns about how slow they were yesterday. Well, they've had some quick rounds and explosive rounds, and they have also slowed it down. So they've been keeping Falcons in their tiptoes. Sure, you'd expect them to win this out with the weaponry advantage they have, but if team damage onto Davideus allows Nico to parch in with one, although he's been traded out instantly, and this round falling into place as we expected, barring a Dexter miracle, but he has an AWP. And he has no intention of throwing that one away. He wants to save it for the next round.
Yeah, very happy if he can escape with this weapon. Also, I mean, if he had a kit and a smoke and they were hunting him, that you could win the round. But if they're not attacking you and you don't have any of those, none of the utility or anything else, it's just not going to happen here. But yeah, you're right. Based on the weapons that Falcons come into this round with, it's not surprising. We shouldn't be too sad that they're going to be losing this one. It's more about all of the other rounds. It's how it's all playing out. Again, you know, just praising Demo a little bit. He got the first kill of the round for himself towards that hot position. Then when he was getting shot in the back, instead of sticking around and waiting for that fight, he disengages and sort of, you know, decides to run away a little bit. Not forever. I mean, he does go back and fight Tessus eventually, but the instinct to not just continue the fights all the time is really, really good. It's really important. And it's something that especially a lot of inexperienced and younger players will have so much harder time doing. And most especially if you actually are mechanically pretty good, then you're going to feel like, I'll take the fight, I'll take more fights, and eventually you lose track and you lose the round.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the demo point as well, Snow's been pretty outspoken about how good Big Azera is, not just as an IGL, but also as like this older brother sort of figure that's going to take you under his wing. He's going to look after you. He's going to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident and all those good things. So I think, like, really for Demo, he couldn't have picked a better IGL to play with at this point. I think it's going to do him the world of good for his career. Even if paiN somehow lose this game or this map from this point, a very dominant position of 6-1, I think, like, you can't really do much better than this guy. He's really shone very bright. In fact, at one stage, we were talking about, should he go to FURIA? Like, that was the hot topic when it came to Big Azera. He stuck with paiN. He's built them up from the ground floor and now starting to get a little bit of success.
Yeah, I think for Big Azera, it's, you know, the hard work, the commitment to the project, having the control that it seems like he does have in paiN to his players is super important. I think it's really wonderful. Tessus does go very, very low, but he's done a lot of damage to Big Azera and NQC, and as people love to say, you don't really have to die on the ramp at all. It's not a bomb site. You can leave it alone, so just fall back, play it a bit more safe. You can see for paiN, they're also going to disengage from that fight, and back into the lobby we go. So, yeah, a little bit of a battle early on, but nothing really comes of it.
It's a really interesting call as well, isn't it? Like, you basically had ramp, and you decided to back away. And now you can see the Falcons, they are scrambling, they are rotating over. They're over-rotating because they don't have the information they so desperately require. At this point, I think it's basically Magisk alone on the A site. He's up on the hut, but can he fend off against this many Ts if they decide to pull the trigger and get out? And the answer is an emphatic no.
My God. I mean, you said it before it happened, Vince. I don't know why that would be the case. Why are they rotating 3 people down just because you've lost ramp? I actually can't explain it. And even worse, like you said, you got 1 player on the hut. Fair play did throw down the Molotov on the one side, but the timing for paiN to hit out of the main entrance of hot was insane. And even if he had got that first kill on Big Azera, it would have made absolutely 0 difference. He would have been traded out immediately. So, devastating stuff here. There are a couple of smokes. Unfortunately, Tessus doesn't have a lot of health. He has the defuse kit. Just going to remind you again that going for drop diffusers on this A bomb side is a lot more doable than people recognize. Very often, like you can see kind of now, a lot of the T force is running away. If there's only 1 or 2 people left and you really make an effort to drop in and smoke the bomb and defuse, you can make that happen. But Falcons, they're really far from that state of mind, I think. They're trying to optimize the small things. Can we just win any rounds? That would be a good start.
Yeah, exactly. They're playing, I don't want to say necessarily negatively, but they're playing more defensively minded. Like, can we save these guns? Can we save up enough of an arsenal to maybe win the next round, rather than thinking, let's go for the jugular? And I think it just goes to show, like, the mentality that this team is in right now. When you go back and, the stat that I mentioned earlier, 9 best of 3s recently. They've only won 2, and they're against 2 teams that really aren't at the same level as Falcons. They've lost a lot of games, and obviously that's going to factor into their decision-making, their confidence levels on the server. Now you've got the whole Dexter situation. It's all going to play into it. So paiN are really exploiting it. I love the call from bigazera there. Like, you've got ramp control. You decide, nah, we've gone down there too many times. Let's back away and let's let that element of uncertainty mess and stew in the back of Falcons' minds. And man, it worked a charm.
I mean, bizarrely, even though it sounds like it should be the same thing, there's a big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. And it feels like a lot of the time Falcons are playing not to lose. And you can, there's something about the energy in the team, and obviously we've said this and it's been repeated and, talked about a lot. But you can see it whenever you watch them play, really. 7-1 in favor of paiN. We should be celebrating that because it is really cool. And it's not the first time in the tournament. You've got to remember as well, paiN almost beat Aurora, which, for those of you who haven't been watching the news, is the old Eternal Fire team. So the fact that they brought that into 3 maps, they honestly could have won that whole series. It was definitely doable. So it's not a fluke thing for paiN here. They just are a really strong team, and apparently even with Demo. So, I'm going to be throwing some more praise their way as opposed to just complaining about Falcons, which, even if it is fun, also gets a bit old at some point. Smoke, not quite being blown open, so not really a big benefit there. Incendiary covers not anywhere near enough to stop anyone, but Nico just knows things that we don't. Almost gets a double kill through the smoke. That's fine.
A bit of damage just chipped away from Demo's health bar, who's now been finished off by Nico. Well, re-peeks him and gets punished for it. This is the cleanest opener to a round that we've really seen from the Falcons. They did lose a 5v3 though, but that was downstairs on B site. Davideus going to try and get that equilibrium, say now he can get it done on A as well, and bigazera with an exquisite entry. The Kixan is holding the line and gives Falcons their second round.
That is such a great display for Kixan of the power of repositioning after each kill. You can just, like, for every one of those engagements, he's in a slightly different position, just enough that every consecutive person that peeks from the paiN side is a little bit confused about what's going on. But yes, they should always be winning these 5v3s. There was a real moment there where I thought, oh no, you could see him moving around the other side when they peek out, and then obviously drops down. That's just, that's kind of beautiful. Well done for Kixan. All right.
There we go. Aegis pumping the team up.
You've got to, right?
It does look bleak, right? Like 7-2 is a rough score, but if Falcons can somehow get back to a 7-5, I think the game's back on again, Alex. The momentum changes. 5 rounds is definitely more than enough to get done on Nuke, even if it is a little bit grim and maybe like on the periphery of the possible. But they can still pull this one back. It is still a possibility.
I agree fully, Vince. I think you're right. Oh, it's a good start to this one. Dexter definitely could have had the shot there, but NQZ a little bit quicker, and he actually catches Nico as well. What a play from NQZ. He's brought them back in. This is another 5-on-3, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it could be that Falcons are going to be losing this one as well. NQZ is absolutely outpositioned Texas, and he's going to get him for free. What a mind-bending round coming out here from the Brazilian sniper, and now he's going to be up in heaven. Magus is not even at the bomb site right now, and Kixan, well, see if he could do anything. This T-roof position, though, it still could be huge. Going to be catching bigazera off guard, that's for sure. But Davideus is right down there, and he's going to get him for free, leaving just Kixan. He's down below, waiting, by the ladder. So, I mean, they've almost lost 3 5v3s already, Vince. This could be the second one that they actually do lose. We'll see if it goes that way. 30 seconds here, and the advantage definitely with paiN Gaming.
Oh, no doubt. The thing is, though, they are running the clock dry. And they're trying to be very careful on the approach, but this could be paralysis by analysis. They could get punished by Kixan, who showed a flurry of frags in the last round. They decided to go back down to B site. Oh, all these rotations. Kixan's going to be kicking himself. Not that he could have done anything anything about this one, but he's been completely outpositioned. Enough time for the plant. Now Kicksan down in secret. The one thing going in his favor is he does have the element of surprise. They're not sure where he is. He's not made any sound cues, and he does have a full belt of utility. It is a possibility that maybe he can pull this clutch back.
Definitely is, but he's also walking in a position where his shadow is going to be showing, so very, very hard to get this job done. Already scoped up, missed shot. Is he going to be expected a second? He won't be. Damadeus, point blank, takes him down, and it's a 5 versus 3 that swings back in favor of paiN Gaming. You mentioned what the mood and the atmosphere must be like in the Discord, in the TeamSpeak over on the Falcon side. I myself am very, very curious about that. Vince, you're known for being a cheery type. What would you do to bring this back?
Oh mate, I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest. Like I was thinking of like humorous answers, and they didn't even work for this situation. I honestly don't know, mate. Like I think you got to call a timeout and maybe just say like, look guys, let's loosen up a little bit. I know it's maybe counterintuitive, but you can see how tense they are. We know what these guys are capable of. They'll know within themselves, which is part of the frustrations that they're currently feeling. Just try and loosen up. Maybe just say, like, there's no pressure anymore. Like, everyone expects us to lose this. We kind of know all the memes, and the community's maybe not entirely on our side. So just play for ourselves, loosen up, and try and enjoy it.
I mean, it's got to be something like that. That kind of mentality probably would benefit the team so much. It's just that even as you say the words, right, you can feel like there's no. How would you get there? You know, like so hard to imagine. Like I don't have the answer either, obviously. But it is grim to see it play out this way. Snow's gone down at the beginning, so Falcons with a bit of an opening here. I think you correctly said earlier, if it's 7-5, it's still pretty doable. I mean, 8-4, it starts to get on the tough side of it, but there's still something to fight for if you get to that 8-4 scoreline. And right now, Nico's doing fantastic work outside. He's found 4 kills, in fact, with some assisted flashes, so a chance. I mean, that would maybe hype the team up a little bit, with Nico potentially getting an AC or NQC, trying to make sure that doesn't happen, and he will snipe him away. But don't see them losing a 1 versus 5, especially with 30 seconds left here. So, yeah, Nico's done enough this time. He could take a break for the round.
Yeah, I mean, this would be a new low if paiN somehow snatched this one away, right? Like, everything we just said, like, hey, guys, just take no pressure and try and enjoy it. Then you lose a 1v5, and, you know, there's fist holes and tables, and maybe the table's been thrown over, and, you know, it's just a complete disaster. 10 seconds, it's not going to happen regardless. A couple kills go the way of NQZ, pads those stats. He's up to 11 frags. But currently, and also what's kind of sad here is Nico is popping off, and Falcons is still getting kind of steamrolled here. He's top fragging with 12. Sure, 4 of them came in that last round, but it just goes to show that, like, in terms of player for player, it is very one-sided, and NQZ's having a good giggle because he's looking at the overall scoreline and realizes his team is in a great spot.
I mean, this is just par for the course for Nico's whole career, isn't it? You know, top fragging, an absolute monster, maybe like a once-in-a-generation player, essentially, and somehow it's never enough. It just never is. You shouldn't be laughing, but I've been following Nico his whole entire career, so I've seen it for a really long time. This just is what his destiny is, unfortunately, in the game. It's great Counter-Strike. It's great to watch, though, for the rest of us, so shout out to Nico for keeping it interesting. 8-3, we're in the 12th round, the last of the half here. Deep nade, a little bit of spam on top here. Not really going to be doing all that much. Thought maybe an HG to follow would have been interesting, and trying to blow open the smoke out here. But Falcons, with, you know, looking at the weapons on the paiN side, with a good chance right now to get that 4th round on board.
Yeah, must-win round as well. 4, as you highlighted before, I mean, it's still grim. There's no getting around from that. Can't really spin it in a positive way, but it does give you a little bit of wiggle room, especially if you can win that 2nd pistol round. That being said, though, there is still some threats to contend with. NQZ saved AWP in play, a Galil on Snow, and some Deagles also in the mix. The downside, though, for paiN is they've ran their utility belt dry. Only 2 flashbangs left. Nico lining up the grenade. That could be a tactical nuke landing on Demo and NQZ, and Nico's going to just go ahead and rip 2 more kills away. He's given his team the advantage. 30 seconds. paiN have outside control, but what can they realistically do with this?
Yeah, it's the time that's left that's really a big issue here. Dexter landing a shot that's really important. And again, 18 seconds. NQC winning the fight regardless. And you could have made an argument that Dexter could have fallen back. He's going to keep running. NQC He is a beast right now, a cannon on his hands, and it's going to be 8 seconds trying to see if he can plant that bomb inside of the smoke. Shouldn't be allowed to. Davideus with a headshot, and somehow paiN are right back on top of the round. It's Kixan now suddenly again in a 1 versus 2. How did it come to this? How did the Falcons fumble this round? It should have never been. Nico got the double. They had Dexter down below, and he got that opening kill. If he falls back, they win the round every single time. But now instead, it's Kixan trying to clutch it, and NQC snaps it away from them. paiN absolutely destroys Falcons in that round.
Take nothing away from NQZ. Those 2 shots, I'm sure we'll go back and see them now, were so lightning fast, especially on the vents. Like, he just peeked for a pixel second and just stole away more lives. But I mean, if you're Nico, you're sat there, you can see the expression on his face. It says everything. He's just mentally gone at this point, I think. It's like, guys, I have literally played out of my mind. I've dropped 15 plus kills in the first half, and you've lost another clutch with like 15 seconds on the clock.
You know, tell you what, Vince. I once had a really vivid dream that I'd gone to like Greece or something, I think it was, and I won the lottery in Greece, and I was so excited. And then I was, you know, in my dream, I was traveling home, and I had, you know, I just had to go to the bank in Denmark. It's a dream. I don't know why I had to go do that, but I had to go to the bank in Denmark to cash in my, you know, my winnings, and then I had just so much money. It was crazy. And then I woke up, and I didn't realize that it was a dream, so I woke up with a feeling that, like, I've got all this money, and, like, I'm going to buy a house, and my kids and my wife, they're going to be excited. And I spent the better part of, like, the first hour of being awake with that feeling of, like, I'm so fortunate, like, it's all so great. And then I remembered, oh, it's just a dream. And then I had this, like, you know, incredible calm down, like, my face. I was like, oh, no, like, it was just, how could I mistake that? I think that's what, that was, I must have looked like Nico in that moment, you know? Like, no, like, I'm actually back to reality, and it's just this, you know? I'm in Denmark, and it's cold, and it's raining, and I'm not a millionaire. Anyway, here we go. Second half is coming up. We've got paiN Gaming now on the CT side, and we're on Nuke for the first match in this elimination series. Now, the map is picked by paiN, and you're getting a good sense of why that is. Dexter's already gone down, but Falcons looking to try and see if they can speed this up, and Mega's going to kick San and Nico. Beautiful entries on that A-bomb side.
Yeah, exactly what Falcons needed and required. A rifle round will be coming up to them in the next one, assuming that they can convert this. Well, they may go for a couple of SMGs, but this round is theirs. Demo, with the USP, try as he may, is outnumbered, outgunned, and outpositioned. And Nico, if he is disappointed, he's not really showing it in terms of his individual performance on the server. If anything, he's channeled it into kind of like this Viking rage, this berserker mode, because he is unrelenting. 17 frags with Falcons on just 4 rounds is just an unbelievable effort from him.
I wonder if that's an avenue that they've explored. Like, maybe, I'm sure Amanita muscaria does grow in Romania. I'm sure they could find mushrooms that feed Falcons. Maybe that would be a, you know, positive impact on the team. It's not impossible, you know. Work for the Vikings, why not? I like your thinking, Vince. 9-4.
Maybe that's how they do it. You know, you asked me, how do they get out of this hole? Mushrooms, mate. There you go.
Drugs.
Berserker mushrooms.
Whatever it takes at this stage, man. This is, it's so crazy. But they win the pistol, and we'll see if they can build anything more behind it. Nico, he's got 17 kills. I wish I could say this is, you know, sort of a new thing, but there are just... Someone should compile a list of all of the Nico games where his, you know, his kills is just, like, by some important percentage ahead of the rest of the team, and they still end up losing. That would be an interesting task for the math and stats people out there, if anyone's interested. There's got to be a lot of those kind of games. But, well, paiN, they're close to the victory already here.
It's also the rest of his team have got 25 kills combined. Nico's got 17 by himself. Yeah. Oh no, Davideus and a 5-7 from Biggest Era. The woes continue. Nico's going to be in a trade and a one-on-one, but it's now a Galil that's been picked up, and the MP9 of Demo up close is going to send Dexter away, but Magisk and Nico are keeping this round alive, but now it falls upon the star himself.
That's actually a sick HE. Oh, I wish Snow would have tried to run for it. That would have been so insane. He did stay just far enough back, but at least he's found the bomb plant here, Nico. He's already a little bit tagged up, but we know how dangerous he is. With the range there, the MP9, got to be careful now. He's out in the open. He really wants to escape, and that's a smart move. Get out so that you're not going to get shot in the back instead, and Let's try and rotate all around. He can be almost 100% sure there's not going to be a defuse kit in play, and I bet you he knows that. Terrifying thing for Snow and NQC to be up against this guy in a 1 versus 2. Defuse far away, but Snow will find the kill, just challenges him. He was so low on health already. If anything would have touched him, he would have been dead. And instead, they're going to go straight for it, get the defuse as well, and they steal the round back.
And the way that Nico's been playing, I just assume Snow is dead there. Like you say, he is shoulder peeking with, like, I think about 15 HP, or maybe even lower than that. Below 10, and just 1 bullet would have killed him. Nico's trying his absolute damnedest and his best. And I suppose, like in that analogy that you used, he can kind of close his eyes for a few moments and go, oh yeah, menacing. And he can go back to that dream state again. Please. I did think, though, Anders, I'm not going to lie, when you were telling your dream there, I thought you were going to say you got back home to Denmark, you checked your bank, and that lottery from Greece equated to like 50 euros in Denmark.
Like, oh,
and you just got mega wrecked.
I was rich, but in the wrong currency.
It's like when I was younger, I used to live in Sardinia, which is like part of Italy.
Oh, yeah.
And you had lira. So it's like 10,000 lira. You think you're rich, you realize it's like £2.
Yeah, exactly. A similar vibe, I guess. Similar vibe. I could appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Well, Magisk and Nico still alive in this one. 2 versus 5, although Nico position's been discovered out here, which does make it a little bit more efficient. They're coming for him. They're not really afraid. Spigu 0 to take him down. You know, I thought of another way that I could get that look on my face. You know this thing sometimes, Vince, when you're, you know, you're having dinner or something and you end up biting like the inside of your cheek, and then you do it again. And that second time, it's just, there's something about it where you just think, come on, universe. Like, I'm a grown-up and I'm failing to eat dinner, you know? Like, it sort of can't be real, you know? And I have a similar kind of vibe when I'm like, I think Nico shares that in that moment. You're like, come on, you know, let's be grown up about it, you know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Magisk will be feeling the same way right now, but he was in a 1-on-3. paiN Gaming gonna have an 11-4 lead on Nuke. It's just been another stomp for Falcons, man. Like, they got bodied by GamerLegion, who I think are a super underrated team. I will say, Ash is doing great work over there with GamerLegion. But they got absolutely decimated, and it's feeling that same way again. 3rd timeout coming in. Zonic trying to rally the troops.
I actually, for those of you who missed it, right? Maybe some of you didn't catch the news about the GamerLegion Falcons game. It's GamerLegion won 13-2 on Inferno and 13-1 on Mirage, and I actually almost can't read that out without laughing. It's so ridiculous. Kassad had some great tweets about it too. Oh man, the whole situation is unfortunately, like I said, I don't know what to do. If we're not supposed to laugh about it, like what else can we do? You know, I'll say this as well. Like, there's a part of me that just, I hope that what we're witnessing here with Falcons is just like, you know, pulling back of like the elastic band where it's like it's getting worse and worse and worse, but when they finally get, like, you know, let's say it's MongolZ, or they just get like suddenly it just springs back and Falcons are just like super sick. Like, I am secretly hoping that happens, because if it doesn't happen, it's such a sad story, you know. Like, I'm an optimist. I do want the turnaround moment for them, you know. I'm really not a hate watcher in that sense, but for the minute, all we can do is kind of laugh at the fact that they keep losing 5 versus 3s to paiN Gaming with a stand-in in an elimination game, you know. It's too much.
QC is going to get charged down, but there is a bit of backup there in the form of Big Azera. HE Molotov tossed in as well for good measure. Dexter, though, has got his hands on the AWP and does connect. He's had a bit of a rough game so far with the AWP. He was mainly doing his work with the rifles in the first half. But they do have the player advantage. For how long, though, is the question, because Davideus is sneaking around the back line. Wants to try and make sure he can line up a couple of kills here. But he can also see the bomb on the back of Dexter. So that is vital information and a vital positional shift back in favor of the Brazilians.
It is plenty of time, though. Davideus, pretty good position. What a dangerous call to just try and throw that HE out in the open. It's a classic way to get yourself killed, but he's still alive here, only for a second. Snow trying to get in through the window. They're trying to make the big escape, and Kixan smartly holding the ladder here. Snow, I think, realized he sees it coming. Wants to go around the other side instead. Bomb isn't, I think, picked up by anyone, so it's a bit of an awkward moment regardless. If they had the bomb, it would be easier, but Kixan, nice swing, and slightly covered by the smoke there. And I think they actually made the jump out at the same time, so they probably would have been able to trade him. Small high fives coming out here. Falcons to pick up a round that, you know, not necessarily an easy one to win. One small step in the right direction.
very important shot from Dexter there to the top. You see it here. Because BigZera had the high ground, he knew multiple players were below him. Nice clutch though from Kixan, and then at the end with the M4. So 11-5. Still a long, long way to go. Still enough money as well in the bank for paiN to squeak out a buy, but it will be a 5-7 and an MP9. Nico, as ever, is probing and poking outside. On both sides, he loves to play outside, and he has so much success there. One of the best players, I'd say, like, off the top of my head, the only player I can really think of is, like, Rain. When it gets to, like, optimal levels outside, like, the two of them are just unbelievably good in these positions.
Yeah, there are a couple of players who they're very hard to control in this particular environment, so Rain definitely a good shout. Not really getting what he wanted there, BigZera. Gonna disengage ever so slightly. But Nico, he's going to find a way to try and put some pressure on the lower holes here. Still got plenty of time. I do like the fact that Falcons are a little bit more grouped up in this kind of a round. Gives less of a chance that someone's going to lose a rifle over to the other side. So, plenty of time, not a lot of fear. There's NQC with a 5-7 in this corner. 5-7s are pretty lethal. Some even call them OP. So discussion's been going for a long time.
Yeah, it does feel like a very questionable decision if you ever see someone using a CZ on the CT side. You're like, what do you do with yourself? Why?
I know.
Like, you're actually kind of trolling at this point.
Yeah, I wonder about that too. I can't find a single scenario where I would say that's a good idea. BigZera, nice angle there. Going to try and reposition. He's got a teammate coming in to try and help him out, but it's just with an MP9 at the moment. 19 seconds left, and Bimo, he's there. He gets the shot on the kickstand. How's it falling apart? Falcons, there's only 2 people defending down here. They're going to be able to get the kill, but now Snow picks up another one. Bomb being planted behind. Magus get a 1v1 versus Snow. And they've got to pick this one up. It's all on the back of the Dane. He swings wide and gets blown up by the young Brazilian. That is devastating.
So good, man. He had the patience and the wherewithal to see the clarity and chaos of 10 seconds left on the clock. He knows he's got HE, he knows he's got flashbangs. A lot of players would just toss the HE out, but he knows there's a chance it's a fake into a peak. And so he holds on, throws the HE after the plant, forces Major Scout into the open, and finishes off the rest. Very well played by the young man. And if it wasn't bad enough already for Falcons, it just got into 7 match points for paiN Gaming here on Nuke.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Snow locked in. He's only got 9 kills, so it's not necessarily that impressive. But again, winning a clutch like that goes a really long way. paiN, 1 round away from winning the opening game here in this elimination series. And Falcons hardly even showing up on the server yet. Yep, Nico is here, and that's usually the case. It's just not even close to enough to make a difference at the moment. Brutal scenes.
It's very odd to me as well. Like, I know Nico is quite a monster with the Deagle, but I mean, surely the way he's played, you give him an AK, you give him a Galil here.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think the logic for these teams is always going to be that whoever can afford it is almost always the one that gets it, just because you don't want to make it seem like, hey, you're worse than this guy, so we're just going to take away your AK. But I mean, logically, that probably is going to be true, right? 50 seconds, Magus with a nice opening. BigZera back here, a lot of pressure, very likely to go down. Actually, it's NQC that gets rid of him, but it's just a bit of a mishap. They will trade it out, and they've pretty much taken over the entire bomb site. So Falcons buying themselves a little bit more time. Now, you know, I love to go on a little rant, you know, like it's this, you know, sort of same thing we say all the time. It's like, oh, Falcons can win more rounds. Even if they lose, they can bring it back. They can build the morale. I don't know if I really believe that. I feel like I haven't seen almost any cases for as long as this team has been together of Falcons recovering any kind of morale or looking like they're excited or having a good time or even enjoying the game. So I don't know. I mean, like, of course, it's going to be better if they get up to 10 rounds, you know, before they lose, or even better if they get to overtime. But in general, it feels like it's so far away from what this team can do right now that it's kind of hard to believe, you know.
Terrorists win.
Yeah, I mean, again, the stats and the facts do not lie. In terms of Bucharest, they have won, let me just figure this out for a quick second, they've won 14 rounds in 4 maps, Anders. I mean, you just can't really spin that in a positive way, can you? Like, they've just been getting trounced. We talked about how one-sided the GamerLegion game was, but they lost to Complexity 13-6 and 13-5 as well. Like, these are teams that, like, no disrespect to either of them, and Complexity have done pretty well in this event, but, like, you should not be getting this smashed by teams like that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. You make a strong argument, Vince. I can't spin it into something good, you know? I do consider myself pretty good at lying, but yeah. So I can only go so far. Even I have my limits. Megis ends up going down at the start of the round. Bit of a lobby push coming in. That is one of the big downsides of playing this 4-1 split, is that sole lobby player is sometimes a bit vulnerable. So I think a normal vulnerability on Nuke that maybe doesn't always get exploited as much as it could. Lobby crunches are great. One of my favorite things to watch on this map.
Yeah, when it's timed right and it's two different sides, you just got all these bullets being sprayed down. Like, it is honestly, like, so terrifying to go up against, especially when it's like a hit and run. And speaking of which, Snow, with that 5-7, is putting it to use. He's taking so much damage, he has to back away, but he's able to survive, and that will keep their options open for paiN to set up crossfires. Not like this, Falcons. You're against pistols. You're against basically a trash arsenal. And not just that, but you've gone down to a 1v5. And it's all down to Nico again, and he can't get it done. Oh, that just epitomizes this entire tournament from the Falcons.
What an absolutely ridiculous display. Sure, it's not their map pick, but none of that really matters. Some of the scenes, some of the video that you're going to be seeing here, no guarantees. And also just because their level of output is so hard to predict, you know. Last time Nico on Nuke, sure, he played well, but it was really only him that played well. And you know, that obviously is not going to work. Even on a map you like, you need more than one person.
No, 100%. And like we were touching on this a little bit in the break there, talking about sort of like the whole Falcon situation right now, and will Munacy like magically fix this team? Well, the fact of the matter is, as well as Nico played, Tessis dropped 5 kills on Nuke. 5. So like you got to have a couple players stepping up. That being said, here we go out into the open. It's going to be Snow with the Julies, who sprays down 2.
What a cracking start. The duel is actually on David Days, this time finding another one. Nico trying to get it back in line here. It's him and Tessis left, and it is a 2 versus 3. Now, they do know where everybody is at the moment, and look at how blocked in they are. Here at T-Main, Davideus just, I don't know what's happening. He still wins the fight. Tessis, you've got to get that kill. He pretty much presented his back. He was crouched in, looking towards Pop Dog, and somehow you do almost no damage at all. I can't explain that. He's down to 76. He should have been dead. And Nico now on his own.
It feels like deja vu here, and it's like Nico getting all the impact, Tessis having a rough one, and paiN still coming out as the victors. Assuming that Nico can't pull off this 1 versus 3, already 2 frags to his name. He is pretty healthy. That's one thing going in his favor. Time also will afford him the luxury of at least trying to pick off one by one these players. Bigazera using E-Box, but he is going to get flanked from NQZ. And so paiN pick up from where they left off on Nuke, and that's with just yet another pistol round victory.
Brutal, isn't it? You could see, though, the win condition for that round is Nico getting an ace clutch in a 1 versus 3 with a Glock. Like, that's what it takes for Falcon to try and pick up a round in some of these cases. Just, well, absolute cinema, isn't it, outside 2v3. Could have definitely gone a different way. But it will be paiN Gaming to pick it up, and having the, you know, the fact that it's not their map pick, pretty good news for them ultimately. Also no bomb plant, which means that Falcons are not going to be able to buy into this round. They're going to be sat back with a couple of pistols and hoping that they can make something off it here. Do a little bit of damage, all the basics. Take some of the money away from paiN Gaming.
It's a bit of a pill to swallow though, isn't it? Nico will feel he's got a possibility of winning every single clutch, and has to try and fall back into the second round with basically nothing. They do get the opening pick though, and it is that man once again, Nico. Tess says taking the bomb in, wants to try and pick up the MP9, successfully gets his hands on it. And so now paiN, they're going to have to try and absorb the damage. Snow down to 22. There is a way forward here for the Falcons. Could potentially pull off a bit of a shock win, considering their lack of weapons coming into it.
I mean, if they could do it again, then maybe there's a chance for a bomb plant here. It's not impossible. We've got a long way to make things a little bit easier for them. It's an interesting stack right now towards the B bomb side for paiN as well. Maybe a lot more than you'd normally see, but I guess they're trusting in Davideus to be able to not just get a kill, but really stay alive if they actually do end up showing up, which, again, they don't have any Molotovs or anything to put up the pressure on. Otherwise, he can't fall back to the back of the site, because that's always been the Molotov. Then, good timing there. Thank you, to get the first one, and they are getting picked apart a little bit here. Davideus will go down in the end, so, yeah, a bit unfortunate. Like we said, a bomb plant go a really, really long way. Falcons should never get close to really winning this round, but they've already done a lot of damage, so let's see if they can find a bit more. It's going to be Nico alone versus 3, and he did get the first kill. Honestly, that's a great round for Falcons, so you're going to be quite happy with that. A bomb plant and 3 kills, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, credit where it's due. That's a valiant attempt. They'll be happy with that outcome. Nico only had 2 bullets left in the deagle, landed 1, threaded the headshot, but wasn't able to follow up and was just swarmed by paiN players. So the 2-0 comes in, but yeah, it's not just the fact they get the bomb plant and a really sturdy buy now with a better economy, but it also puts paiN into a bit of an awkward position themselves. Well, they'll be looking over their shoulder because a taxman is coming to collect on them. They won't have much in surplus in terms of pennies or dollars to use. If they lose this one, they'll basically be straight into an eco. So the pressure is mounting early on. The paiN do have the AWP in play, and that's always going to be huge for NQZ, especially the way he played on Nuke.
Nico rushing to try and take control of this pop dog position. Which, by the way, if you haven't been watching a lot of Train, this part of the map is probably the most important part of the moment, because if the CTs get to put people in here where Nico is, or a little bit further down that hallway, it means executing onto the B bomb side is nearly impossible, and it's already uncomfortable anywhere else as well, because any kind of splits towards A just kind of almost immediately die. So the Ts really have to try and find a way pretty much every round to make sure that there are no CTs here, which is also why Nico goes down to check all the way at the bottom. There are a couple of little, you know, corners to stand in. Nice shot onto Davideus. That's just maybe a little bit sloppy. Don't want to be positioned to be exposed to that. Smoke that probably should have gone somewhere else. Wait, is that... Did they try to throw the gap smoke by Ivy and it lands there instead? I wonder if Tessus doesn't know that's been patched out. I'm pretty sure it's been patched out.
I think so.
Like, I went to check fly around. I can't see how you could do. You can't do it. I'm actually not even... I say it like I'm not sure. I've tried to fly up there with no clip, so you can't do it. Here we go.
Gap smoke, botched, or a different smoke entirely, but the result is the same, and that is a fast entry onto Snow. They'd already picked up one early, as you mentioned, from Nico. So that should be the round done, and because of what we were discussing before, those 3 kills in the previous one, it's where it catches up with paiN, and they just simply have to save. There's no other options available to them, so not just a round win for Falcons, but a clean and convincing one.
Yeah, super well done. And on the back of that earlier round where they do so much damage, this is really, really nice. And you hope to see something like this, right? They did pick the map. They have a pretty good track record on it. You already mentioned it. They try to make it, you know, one of the maps they could adapt to pretty early on. So, so far, so good. 3 rifles are going to be saved here on the paiN side of things. Nobody's even nearby at the moment, so it's a pretty good job. And the truth is, there are going to be a lot of rounds where that B-bomb side early on is going to be fairly vulnerable. You typically only have 1 player at the start, and I guess if you wanted to say something there, when you only have 1 player and that player is playing as far back as they were this time on the paiN side of things, you can't... you have to get a bunch of kills, right? It can't just... You know, it's not just enough to fall back and stay alive here. It's a nice kill on Davideus, but if you see it over at the B-bomb side, look at how far back they get that engagement with Snow. So he's not going to have any chance to get any warning. There's nothing he can do. Unless he gets a double kill, that round is always going to be hard.
Nico going for the same play again. However, this time NQZ's there with the AWP. And Nico didn't quite have the same level of quick fire spawn to get down there, but if he starts to slowly creep round the side, NQZ's going to have him for breakfast. And they do have 2 players here as well. Not baited out. Oh, NQZ missing. And although there was a second player there to help him out in Long Dog, that's no longer the case. Smoke goes down. NQZ's going to hold the line, but Nico tries to shank him within the smoke. But NQZ's pulled the plug and got out of there.
I so wanted that to work for Nico. That would have been hilarious. But a missed shot for NQC, and truth is, you need to hit shots like that. Super, super important. But also, I think a good sign that paiN kind of understand the importance of that particular position. They want to fight for it. They should be fighting for it. Just didn't work out for them this time. Demo is going to be a little bit low on health as well. 50 seconds on the clock right now. And Vigusira trying to take some just shots, hoping that Nico's going to be covering that same angle. We're down to 40 seconds now. Stabadeus creeping up close with the MP9 and maybe could have had a headshot there. He's going to go down to Nico, exposed where he shouldn't be, around the E-box. It's NQC to try and bring it back, but they're in a little bit of pressure here towards the A-bomb side. Dexter will find another kill, and now they're being pressured back. Smoke is up towards the C connector. It's Dexter to go down, and it is a 3 versus 3. You could go for a retake here if you wanted to.
Snow's trying to find the edge of the smoke to try and exploit here and expunge some of these Ts. I think it's the fact that Demo is so low on HP, though, down at 22. If you have utility, Molotov tossed in. Snow, though, gets a jump scare from Nico. As he wide swings out, Tesses is going to pick up the pieces, and NQZ, if he wanted any chance to clutch, that's no longer a possibility. His mission is to save. And it will be rough because he had that first shot and it was Nico that wide swung him over on Long Dog. If he connects that one, the entire dynamic of this round shifts. He may not be afforded the luxury of saving the AWP as Magisk from Con puts him down. And Falcons straight back into an even keel, 2-2.
Yeah, I think you pretty much said it. I think that the timing when Snow is trying to throw that incendiary grenade is really what ultimately makes it. I think it's also the fact that they had the incendiary that made them want to go for the 3-on-3 retake, is they're thinking we could put so much pressure on. But yeah, it just backfires a little bit here. Good news for Falcons though, and overall not a bad take of that A-bomb side. I will say that early loss they had by the E-box, backing out and showing yourself to that pop lock position, that it does sort of tell me maybe paiN don't feel too comfortable on the map. Like, they don't have every corner. You don't really know exactly where you can walk and all the rest of it. And that's potentially a worrying sign, because you just have to find a way to navigate that A yard without being exposed. Like, you can swing and fight main if you want to, but you just can't do it in a way so that you're also going to be crossfired from pop dog, because that's going to get you killed every time. I do like this, though. No,
definitely. I like it, too, yeah. Go for a bit of a gamble stack. Boost it up onto the boxes as well up close. Have multiple areas of aggression if you get pushed into. But I agree with you. It does feel like they're not as confident here. If you compare it to how paiN were looking on their Nuke side, on the CT side, they're being aggressive. They had all their angles. Of course, Nuke's been played a million times. Now it's been in the active pool for ages. So you would expect that. But also the boost up. So Demo can have a look into the Long Dog area, the exit. Nico's going to be coming through, but of course it's just the USP. Even if he lands a crisp headshot, it's going to take multiple to put Nico down.
And they're going to get peeked from Ivy in a couple of seconds here, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. USP. Still, it's funny, you know? It's a little bit of a circus, and I can appreciate that. Sometimes you've just got to find a way to make it an interesting round. All things considered, they tried, it didn't work out, and it is going to be another round for Falcons here. Great work. As much as we're criticizing them, they're up to a 3-2 scoreline. They've got quite a lot of money to work with, and they're making life pretty uncomfortable for paiN. So I'm not too sad about this, and again, we do have a deciding map, obviously a third one. I really hope we get there, because... Again, just a quick reality check. This is elimination. If Falcons get knocked out with an 0-3, record here of PGL Bucharest, that's just so devastating. It just is. So at least get to a third map, try and fight if you can see if you can do it. And, if paiN get knocked out, it's nowhere near as devastating. I mean, it would suck for them individually, but there's so many contexts that which you could say, well, they had, a new stand-in. It's, it's understandable. All the rest of it. They still played some really great matches. You couldn't even say that for Falcons if they get knocked out here. So they have to, by whatever it takes, they must get to that third map, and they must win that third map.
Yeah, it's also the quality of teams, because paiN, if they get knocked out 0-3 here with a stand-in, their first game was against Aurora, second game was against FaZe, and then you've lost to Falcons. Like, that's a respectable 0-3.
It is.
As far as 0-3s go. Meanwhile, Falcons, complexity first, then GamerLegion, and then potentially paiN. They're not the same at all. But here we go. The aggression coming in from Tessis.
And Snow, again, really far back. It is an uncomfortable position to be in. Vigusira not feeling too loose here either. Could easily get zoned out. He wants to reveal himself very late in that fight. He's going to be able to get the kill onto Tessis, but Nico's still out there, and they know that he's back here somewhere. Molotov doesn't really bounce how they were looking for, and a nice burst coming out. Vigusira going to be taking down Dexter. Trying to see if they can get out of the C connector, which is not easy if you don't have the grenades for it. Davideus still manages to get the job done. And just in the blink of an eye, it's down to a 1 versus 3, and never mind that either. It's NQC to take the kill on the Magus. And it will be paiN defusing the bomb here. Definitely impressive stuff. I think retaking that B bomb site is actually so much harder than it seems, and the reason why they're able to do it and make it look somewhat more reasonable is because Bigusira gets to stay alive back there at the back of the bomb site.
Oh, no doubt. But I was really impressed with Davideus' second frag here. I think we're going to see it now from his perspective. He gets the first onto Nico and then instantly transitions across to that second frag because Zera, like he's highlighted, getting 2. But here it is, the first and the second. And what also makes that so impressive to me is on a site like B site, on so many maps in Counter-Strike history, it's normally the same level of verticality when you go into a bomb site or out of it. On this B side, there's so many different levels, and it's small micro adjustments. The headshot angle of one is going to have to drastically change for the second. Really, really well played by Davideus.
Quick notice here how they throw the Molotov and the double HE to stop anyone running up the B ramp. The reason they do that is because if you look at Vitality demos, you're going to see that Apex and Robs are really good at going for some really fast aggression on the B ramp to try and put pressure on this long dog position. So Falcons have come up with a good protocol to make absolutely sure that if you try and do that, you are going to get essentially nuked from orbit in that position. So really cool, nice evolution of how that plays out. And it doesn't seem like paiN have tried to do it at all anyway. But if you're watching some of the really good teams on the map, you're going to be seeing a lot of that kind of thing. And I think Vitality is kind of a model team to look at when it comes to the map. One, because Robs is an incredibly hardworking person when it comes to finding those kind of things. But, I mean, they've also got Saiwu, who's doing a lot of cool grenades from the C connector. So there's a lot to study there if you guys want to learn how to play train at a really high level. It is going to be a double AWP coming up from the paiN Gaming side. I mean, sometimes that's a good idea. Sometimes it's also a sign that things are getting a bit desperate.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. We'll have to see which of those it ends up being. A demo up on E-Box. It's been a position that paiN have struggled in quite a bit. Not just the Nico threading the eye of the needle through in the box, but also they had the MP9s in here. They struggled, and that's going to continue to be the case as TeSeS and Magisk both spill out, and the Danes in tandem start to secure the outside control. But NQZ says no, and says it with authority on that AWP, knocking down players alongside Bigazera. And now Dexter, he's getting close. There's only 8 seconds left on the clock, though. He needs to nail this shot, and he gets it just done in the nick of time. There's going to be enough time for the plant as well. TeSeS doesn't get bested by the grenade, and suddenly, Snow in a 1v2, and Dexter puts him down. It was so close, but the Falcons somehow hold on.
I can't believe it. I mean, it's very, very scary, isn't it? 6 seconds left. If that HE bounces a bit differently, or if they're just a little bit lower on health, there's every chance that that's going to be another lost round. But they do get the job done. And credit to them. I mean, remember how many 5-on-3s they ended up losing on Nuke? This is a map right now where for Falcons, they actually are able to turn it around and they're able to win some of these. And that means the economy for paiN blown up already. So round number 8 is here. And Falcons have stepped up in a different way here on their own map pick. So I'm actually really excited for it. Inferno is the deciding map. That could be super, super interesting. From my point of view, it looks like we are going to get there. Falcons just look very much more well-drilled. And you mentioned it once again, that E-box position for paiN is not looking comfortable. They're not really sure how to time the defense. And the pop flashes that are coming in for Falcons are just devastating.
100%. That is a real problem. And I think, to be fair to Falcons, they have... Wait, hold on. Snow just got 2 kills with USP. Excuse me? What? I don't think it's going to end up mattering too much, but it seems like the Falcons have realized, okay, this is a vulnerability, this is a weakness, a gap in the armor that we've got to try and exploit as much as we can. I am going to be very interested to see, though, because it's one thing to defend a map when you're very uncomfortable, but attacking it really is going to be a different ball game. So I want to see how paiN are going to be looking to come into that T side. How many rounds they can have, though, as a foundation to build off, because if this continues in the same way, I just don't think 3 is enough.
Yeah, I doubt it as well. Dexter going to take care of business on that one. Not too surprising. There are, like, one of the issues is if you're not going to be allowed to put pressure from the B bomb side by pushing up the ramp like I was talking about earlier, the other way to try and do it is obviously to try and push Top Dog maybe at the same time, which paiN haven't really tried. All they've done so far is put up NQC in there to try and get an AWP shot. That didn't really work out. I would say... You know, other options that we haven't seen paiN do is try to take over T main, which I would say is almost commonplace at a high level of train at the moment, just because if you're on the CT side and you can do that, you're forcing the Ts to have to retake T main control and they have to spend a bunch of utility to Molotov you out of that position. So it's almost always worth doing. And I'm not seeing paiN do that, maybe because they just don't have the comfort zone yet. And I guess the fourth option would be you can do aggressive Ivy pushes on the CT side. Now, it is risky because you're walking down a long corridor, but very often you're going to find really just 1 or 2 Ts there, and you can set up some very, very cool flashbangs to get out and fight them. So I would like to see paiN try something like this, just to make sure that Falcons don't look as comfortable. Because right now, Falcons are getting all the tactical positions that they would want, and they are executing really well behind those positions. So you've got to disrupt that somehow.
And you've got to disrupt that man on your screen right now, Nico, because he had a blinder of a nuke. He was the one shining beacon, hope, lifeline that Falcons had, and he has started Train phenomenally strong as well. 12-4, coming into this round with 154 ADR. The man is on fire. You've got to deal with him. And again, look, it's going to be that E-box position. And again, it goes the way of Falcons without too much problems.
Yeah, you could see there's no place where they can stand. They don't have any grenades down. There's no incendiaries to slow anyone down. It's just a raw fight. And Dexter going to be able to find Demo behind the Molotov. NQC and Snow left here. Very uncomfortable. And this time it was a change of pace as well coming out from Falcons. Much more quick. Catching paiN in an uncomfortable position here. Nico maybe thought he had the kill. Snow somehow able to catch him in the reverse. And he's going to get one more spray with the smoke. Takes down Tessus. Okay, then. Back into a 2 versus 2 we go. NQC. His next fight is going to be all critical for him. If he misses the shot, it's not going to work out well for them. But he won't. Takes a little bit of time there. Sets up the shot onto Dexter. And now it's down to Meg. It's going to 1 versus 2. He's got the time for it. And he might have a chance to get the bomb plant as well.
This is really going to be yet another clutch that paiN had no right to be in. Snow just spamming through smoke, hitting headshots. Oh, no, the bomb has at least been planted down. It allows Mages to just change his angle of defense. But he has no idea. This is what makes Train such a terrifying map in clutches. There's so many angles, so many positions that you have to be wary of. But it's a beautiful double tap to kick things off. And now Snow out into the open. But once again, he stands his ground and delivers a 3K in the round. The hero of this round for paiN as they pick up a 4th. But Falcons, guys, how many clutches are you going to lose in this series? This is getting out of control.
It absolutely is. And it's one of those things that chips away at the morale of the team. It's the frustration that returns. You knew that you had the position. This is all great. Like 2-for-1 trade at the start. And then the Dexter getting this one on top. And it's in the bag. That's it. It's job done. I mean, obviously, who can account for Snow getting 2 kills like this? But still, it should not be happening. Megis, also, I think one of those things where, you know, the Megis that was in prime Astralis, just because of how far ahead that team was, you know, he's going to win fights like those every single time. But the truth is, mechanically, there are so many players in the world right now who will take those fights, Snow being one of them, and like, you know, everyone's got so much better. By the way, here comes the aggressive Ivy push that we were talking about earlier, and it is just Tessus who's down here, so we'll see if they can find a way to make this work for themselves. NQC, a little bit of distraction with the AWP. Tessus, he's going to get double teamed. I wouldn't say that was clean, but they do get the kill on Tessus. Wait,
yeah, not quite
how's
clean
Nico
in
here?
terms of... Oh, dear. Oh, this wraparound is huge. He's managed to find that weakness. Because they double stacked on Ivy, they had less players watching outside. He can see the angle. He knows the AWP is here. I thought he might wait and see if a second player comes in, but he's probably cognizant of being flanked from Connector himself, so he wanted to secure that kill. The problem is, though, that the rest of his players are being sent to the Nether Realm, but Dexter, he holds his ground this time and he puts out Snow. There's a real chance now for Falcons to secure this round. A bit of a strange one, though. Rotations on top of rotations, but paiN looked like they are going to concede. They picked up the first kill, but Nico's wraparound into Connector was the deal breaker.
And you're right, though. That is because of the double Ivy position there. Very, very good communication. So for Tessus, even if he dies there, at least he's able to call it out to his teammates and say, okay, well, they just can't have that many people towards that part of the map. And then because Nico gets the kill, everyone in the B bomb side is so distracted that they're not ready for Dexter on the high ground. They're sort of scrambling to try and reposition against Nico, and they forget about that high ground position. So super well done. Falcons going to be up to 6 here. And again, 4 rounds. I mean, it's the start of something for paiN. I would say if paiN get one more round, if they get up to about 5, it's still quite doable. There's still a lot to fight for. But Falcons are on a bit of a roll right here.
think that also goes into a point that you raised, that Falcons and Nico in particular just look so much more confident on train. Like, you have to have a lot of confidence and understanding of how the setups are coming into play and the timings of those setups for Nico to manage to just snake his way through into the con. And you can see there from NQC's perspective, like, he was properly jump scared. Like, you don't expect a player to be in con at that stage of the round.
Yeah, you just don't. Look at the push up of Long Dog here. So what I was talking about earlier, such a critical part of the map now. It's going to be an Ivy with Dexter getting the kill on the demo, so we might have actually found one of the few rounds where this kind of push is not going to be the most critical one because they're losing control of Ivy, and ultimately this is going to go into, you know, it could at least go into CT spawn and even the B-bomb site. So normally this is a really, really sick play from paiN. Might still be with a chance there. Snow should have had that kill. Nico drops low as well, but they've won their fight, so bit of a shame because the sort of theoretical foundation of this kind of push for paiN is really sick. It shows that they have studied, they understand a little bit of what's going on. It just wasn't the right round for it. Wow.
Oh, how's Nico got that kill, bro? He's on low HP, 12 HP. It just spins down. 16 kills already in this half, by the way. Like, man, someone save this guy.
Yeah, but save him from what, Vince? It is the whole universe that's against him. How do you... what do you propose, you know? I do think the Nico monkey paw, you know, theory is actually more and more likely at this stage, you know? He did make a wish and just forgot to stipulate, you know?
paiN have such low economy to play with. They've gone for MP9s, but they have gone for just sheer aggression. Davide is going to try and take the fight this time up on Long Dog, but Magisk has a good read and puts the smoke down. That's going to keep the Chilean at bay for the time being. Two players also making moves through on the Ivy side, so keeping their options open, but the bomb carrier of Kixan still is maneuvering his way over onto the bathroom, so plenty of time left. Thing is, though, are paiN going to get aggressive with these weapons? Because it feels like sitting back and just waiting is not the play. But Tesses splatters NQZ, who tries to get out and find that timing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for doing something like that. You know, they don't have a lot to work with. It probably would require some trickery to try and get into a round like this one. But Falcons, I think they understand the economy pretty well. I think we heard at the end of the clip there, I think Magisk was even saying they force-fought in that last round, so they know that they're not going to have a lot of money in this round. So it's no surprise that Falcons are playing it slowly, covering all their bases, making sure that there's no surprises. Davide is going to be going down. It's a very nice opening. Snow, I don't know how he actually gets the spray. That's a really long range for an MP9. Well done. Unfortunately, it just won't change the round here. Bigo Zero far away from the action. Bomb is going to be planted here, and you know, barring a three-man disconnect, this should be an 8-4 finish in favor of Falcons, which I think is pretty good for train right now. I don't think it'll be too sad about the situation.
Well, Big Zero is still going to have a good crack at this one. Obviously, last round of the half with the 5-7, he's found a way through. He could get the drop, but I think Magisk is going to spot him in just a few moments, and if not, it's Tesses round the back that puts him down. So the 8-4 half does come to fruition. I was having a quick look at some of the stats here, because paiN, obviously, they're 0-3 right now in train itself. And, you know, we were discussing how the CT side looked a little bit all over the place, like they weren't comfortable on timings or positionings. They have 25% win rate on CT side, but they do have a 50% win rate on the T side. It's a small sample size. It's only 3 maps overall, but maybe that's something to get behind, because I'm now curious to see how they're going to look to try and aggress when it comes to train.
I hope they have something planned. I think we mentioned it a couple of times already, but you could see there were a couple of moments, I would say, for the CT, you know, defense where they just weren't looking that confident. I would also, I mean, we talked about the E-box on the A-bomb site. I would say the same for a lot of their positions on B. Just a little bit too far back for my liking. It's very, very hard to get the rotation in on time there, because you're going to get the information when they're already on the site, and then you've got to get a kill and survive and also buy space for your teammates. The hard thing about rotating into B if you're on the CT side is just the fact that you have to come through that C connector, and there are 100 million ways to smoke and molotov that right now. Like, everyone can do it from anywhere on the map, really. So, you know, jumping through that smoke is fine if your teammates are alive on the B bomb side, but if they're dead, then it doesn't really matter how many people. You could have 100 people in the C connector, and they're still not really going to be coming through that easily. Here we go, though. Second half is coming up. Falcons fighting to stay alive in Bucharest. They must win this and get a third map and just keep on going, because this is an 0-2 bracket. Falcons have won hardly any rounds in Bucharest so far. They're going to have to change the outcome right now. They're going to be on the CT side. paiN trying to see if they can crack through onto the B bomb side. MongolZ, they're jumping on his head, and he's hit no bullets! How could that be?
It's like watching Mario, but if he was just drunk off his face. Like, what? He's getting stomped left and right. NQZ in the meanwhile, though, is going to try and put this round to bed, and it's not done just yet, because they still have TeSeS and Kixan alive, and 2 of these 3 remaining players on paiN are low. But they're playing up close where the Glock is going to shine its brightest, and Snow dulls the senses, flips the kill switch on Kixan, and goes in for more. He has been a beast so far on train, the only standout player for paiN Gaming, but they've secured the second pistol.
Mario only realizes saving the princess isn't worth it, and he's gone to live in a trailer park instead. Like, he's just done with life. That's brutal. Absolutely brutal. I really want to see that replay again. I can't understand what's happening at all. It's a good position with the dualies, right? They're coming through the smoke. Good chance you're going to get something done there, but absolutely not the case. Okay, I like this though. Look at it. Fast play coming out, not waiting around. Get in there, get the bomb planted. There's a stack on the A bomb side for Falcons, which I don't really mind either. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I would say for Falcons, just given the level of investment here, I wouldn't want to. You can stick around to the B bomb side and try and, you know, snipe away, do a little bit of damage, but don't go too hard at it, because you're going to have these guns in the next round. It's going to probably be more valuable anyway.
100%. Go again. The gamble didn't work. paiN also, to their credit, just picked up the pace, like you said, just straight out in the open. And this is why I was curious to see how they're going to look to try and play their T side, because I honestly think that the whole narrative of it being easier to play on CT side in bygone eras of Counter-Strike, because you can just set in like default positions, you don't have to worry too much about protocols or set plays, just doesn't really compute in a map like Train. I actually think being able to run together as 5 and play aggressive is always going to triumph over trying to play like awkward angles like E-box and B-side, like we highlighted before, where you don't feel confident and you don't feel good about your crossfires, and you're not sure how to retake bomb sites or how to lock down areas like Long Dog or Main respectively. I think this is where, honestly, paiN can play to their strengths a little bit of having these 2 young gun aggressive sort of entry fragger types like Snow and Demo, and just say, guys, go kill, go do your thing. Because Demo had a really rough first half. He's down only 2 kills. Yeah. I think this is where we can see what he's truly capable of.
Yeah, I like that idea, because if you have a young player like this and it's a bit uncomfortable, yeah, maybe you're right. Let them off the hook a little bit and let them just play Counter-Strike for a minute, and then you can try and integrate them into the rest of the setup, you know, once they get a bit more free-flowing. I think it's definitely worth pointing out. TeSeS taking A main, like I said, it is so commonplace. I mean, this is around where he's just hoping to actually infiltrate the lineup here, but regardless, I think we're going to see more of that at some point. Now, the rest of them are stacked at the B bomb side, so TeSeS flank around here. It's still about 15 seconds from being really viable, but it could be super interesting if they get slowed down just a bit. And he's going to be calling it out, right? He's going to be communicating with the rest of the team in B, saying, you guys have got to be ready because they're definitely coming. It's MongolZ with the opening, but a nice return nonetheless. Scout up on the high ground. Nice pickoffs. Really important they get these kills earlier, but every second delayed is a second closer to TeSeS showing up and stabbing in them in the back. It's still a 2-on-3, and Kixan not going to stay alive for too much longer back here. TeSeS, it's a long time to get here, and he's not going to get anything for it. Not sure it's even really his fault. It's just a question of timing, but yeah, if they could have lived a little bit longer on that B bomb side, it would have been a really interesting round.
Oh man, you got a feel for TeSeS. It's like he comes into this round and he's flanking around the back. He's like, I've got them, boys. I've got them. Just survive. And he finally gets his knife out and he plunges it into one of their backs, and he realizes it's one of those toy knives. You know, when the blade goes back up into it again, it's like one of those plastic knife things. He's like, oh, for God's sake. He's been sent a faulty knife. It's not worked out, but paiN are 1 round away from the Falcons. Now, the Falcons do have a bye, a really solid one, including an orb in the hands of Dex, who has had a good game, but they've got to make sure this works.
Davideus running and spraying through the window panes up there, which is which is kind of fun and interesting. The glass up there is incredibly thin. So if you're shooting into the A bomb site through that glass, you're doing an enormous amount of damage. For those of you who really care and are super nerds, the way that the Source engine manages wallbangs is it matters basically what gun you're shooting, how thick the material is, and what kind of material it is. And glass is the one that reduces the damage the least. So if you're shooting through glass, you're doing a better job basically than anything else. Than, you know, it's concrete and wood and all the rest of it. But yeah, find some glass and shoot through is all I'm trying to say, guys. If you're going to be into that kind of thing. But you're right, one round separating these two. Meg is going to be falling back. And, you know, I said paiN were playing far back on the bomb site. It's because I'm contrasting it with the kind of play that Meg just did, where you're up, you know, a little bit further. And as soon as you see someone, you're going to be throwing a smoke. And I guess, in this case, also a grenade that lands right on the helmet of Davideus.
This is really a throwback and shows how much of a boomer I am. And I know you're going to know this reference, Anders, because so are you. The way Meg just plays this bomb site reminds me a lot of how Taz used to play back in VP days. Up close, personal, wanting to get aggressive with SMGs and rifles, and it does work really well as long as you find the timings. Grenades can completely destroy you.
Yeah, they definitely can. We'll see if it's going to be good enough here. Nice opening. Meg such a sick spray as Snow was falling down, but the jumping Mac 10 coming back into it. Meg is going to be going down 3 versus 4, and they don't have the money to go for it. It's just not worth it. You could already see the call has been made. So paiN, it's pretty straightforward. Just trading their way into the bomb site, and as long as they're trading close to even, it's absolutely worth it. Bomb down, obviously, and it's going to tie up the game here, 8-8.
That vast lead, all that confidence in the first half has pretty much been dashed against the rocks. And again, if you're just joining us and you're wondering what the hell's going on right now, this is an elimination match. Both teams are 0-2 at Bucharest. Another loss and you are eliminated. You are done. Imagine for a second that Falcons were the first team to be eliminated from PGL Bucharest. Unbelievable.
I was about to say, Vince, if you're joining us and you're wondering what the hell is going on, we can't tell you, unfortunately. It's just...
Yep, we're as clueless as you guys are. Trust us.
Beyond confused at some of the stuff that's been going on in the series, but it has been fun. We've been laughing. Timeout called for Falcons. I like to see that. It's early on in the second half here. But yeah, get the team under control. You know, find a way to rally everybody and kind of, you know, have a shared plan for how you're going into some of these next rounds. Very, very interested to see, because I did have a long monologue in the first half about how you can be aggressive on that CT side, and, you know, fair play, paiN did show us a little bit of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Falcons are going to have a better grasp of it. That long dog push that paiN tried to do a couple of times, you can pair that with pushes out of B, and you can sort of sandwich in the T side when they're trying to get there. That's really efficient, pretty fun to see.
He lost Big Azera, but Davideus had a chance. Kicks hand though with a double. Sprays into Davideus and Demo. And the blink of an eye, this round is basically done. Snow has been a phenom on train. So many multi-kills. He's actually been involved in multiple clutches as well, with 2 kills here, 3 kills there. But this feels like it's way too much for the young gun to contest with. They will have a buy into the next round, but it's looking good for Falcons. They can pick up a bunch of those straggling AK-47s off the deck as well once they're secure and sure of their victory. That's just what they were looking for as a retaliation, as a retort, though, after losing 4 rounds on the bounce. A clinical defensive round to try and tee things off, but please, Falcons, don't start losing players now. Kicksan's gone down, the Molotov or bullets, and he decides its bullets are best to put him out of his misery. And there's still 55 seconds, to be fair to Snow. He's also healthy. Not for long.
Yeah, I share your concern, though, because it's fine. Okay, you lose 1 player, that's okay. But if Snow there's a lot of time. If he keeps going, he finds a couple of more kills. It absolutely does dig into the economy and just makes it a worse thing. And like you also said, if you're going to be stealing AKs, you can leave you be alive to pick up those AKs, so it does matter in the end. Those kind of fast like main plays, like we just saw out of paiN, we're trying to rush out, they're very hard to do right now. Obviously, the spawns are changed, everybody knows that, but it's really more than that. There are so many grenades that can be thrown from far away. You know, obviously smoke from CT spawn, but also very commonly, like multiple nades that land like this. NQC does get the kill on Kicksan, but he had to eat 1 Molotov, and I think 1 incendiary and 1 HE for it, so definitely not for nothing. Nico pushing up into Long Dog. Takes down Snow. Davideus on the other side here, just temporarily smoked off, and it's going to be a 4 versus 4 with Davideus just trying to see if he can hold them back a little while longer. It's Dexter to take care of Demo, pushing Ivy. A lot of aggression for Falcons, really across the map, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, I love it. It's a good way of breaking the shackles of feeling claustrophobic and feeling like you're basically being constricted.
Look at Magus. Okay.
Oh, good shot from Dexter, though, man. Like, and that's the bomb as well. That's why a lot of people feel he's been a bit hard done by if this change does come into fruition, because he's a solid AWPer in his own right. There's other players that you'd probably say are the weak links on the team right now as it stands. He's not one of them necessarily.
Yeah, you want to...
Yeah, the bomb has been dropped, not picked up.
Throw out some names, Vince?
I'm going to be honest here. Like, I think Magisk, he's a solid player, and he does a role like an anchored position, but there are games where he just isn't really a factor. And I'm going to also mention another name. I'm going to say Tessis, because in Heroic, this guy was one of the best riflers in the world as far as I'm concerned. His mechanics were insane. Man, like, he just hasn't really done much since he's been in this Falcons team, for me at least. Maybe that's harsh and there's a lot of moving parts and variables, but those are the two guys I think, like, if you're looking at this squad right now, can you really tell me that Dexter is consistently performing worse than Tessis and Magisk? I know it's different roles, but still.
That's why I love you, Vince. I'm glad that you're not scared to put some names to it. I appreciate that. I do notice, you're singling out, all the people from the same country. Launders would be proud, of course. But yeah, like, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I don't disagree with you. Like, I wouldn't be looking to Dexter first either if I had to make these kind of calls. Obviously, the reason that's happening also is because it's MongolZ, right? Like, that's the other reason. But I kind of agree with everything you said. So yeah, tough for Dexter to have ended up in this kind of a position. Also, just think about his career, right? Like, where he was playing before, like how many different weird visa issues he was having, trying to get, to tournaments was actually a genuine struggle for him. And now he's finally here playing with the team, and then it's only for a really short while. It's got to be frustrating.
Oh, no doubt. And it's easy for us to kind of speak from our position of not knowing all the moving parts within the team. But going purely off stats, that's kind of where I come down. And Dexter does, to be fair as well, play devil's advocate on my own point. He does have maps where he also just disappears as well. Like, let's be real. He's not necessarily as consistent as MongolZ. MongolZ, I think most people agree, is a significant upgrade over Dexter. So that needs to be mentioned as well. Looks like we may have... Is it a tech issue, or are they just vibing in the spawn?
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit of a... I'm sure we'll get the reset in a couple of seconds here. I was just taking a glance at, a Twitch chat against my own better judgment, and I'm
He's gone and done it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people are saying that they need to remove Sonic, but I don't think they can remove Sonic and put MongolZ in his place. That's all I'm saying. So otherwise, great contribution, guys. I appreciate it. Good job figuring it out. The fact is, even though everything you said is true, and obviously MongolZ is an incredible player, and every team in the world probably is going to be better having him, it's just, at the same time saying that, it's hard to believe that's what fixes Falcons. Like, I don't have that feeling at all. And it's not about MongolZ or anything else. But it's just, I started the whole day with saying, when I read out the names on this Falcons team, I'm thinking, this is going to be sick. But it's not, and it's so hard to understand why that is,
Yeah, I mean, as good as MongolZ is, and he's one of the best players on the planet, no one is going to disagree with that point. He's pretty much solo carrying G2 most of the time. It doesn't necessarily fix all the problems within a team. Like, it's not going to suddenly make the calling better, or players that are having dips in performance necessarily pop off. Like, it could give them more confidence, of course, and you're going to have a massive player there that's typically going to be fragging out. But
yeah.
Let's get back into this matchup here, Anders, because we are ready to go live in round 19. Falcons with a 2-round lead. They've managed to weather the storm with 4 on the bounce for paiN and start to put up some of their own again, applying that pressure directly. And it's not a great buy either. Demo on 4 frags, only with a Mac 10 in this one.
You see walking the whole line, scoped up so that no one can hear it on the other side, and gonna take a deep breath, set up for it here. Actually, this is exactly where Nico got a couple of interesting kills in the first half. And NQC looking to try and see if he do something similar here. Not going to be able to spot them because they're behind the Diagonal train up there. Minute on the clock, and now they're moving up, and quite a bit of noise being made too. But Snow, look at how much precision he's got out in the yard. He gets the first and very nearly the second. Kixan surely going to be dead here. I can't believe it's Tessa's at range to get another one, and actually doing a fine job out in this yard. Picks up another shot on Davideus, and it's NQC and Biguzira with 40 seconds. They do have the bomb still, but a hard round to claw your way back into.
No doubt, but they do have two players that are more than capable. As the Falcons found out firsthand back on Nuke, do not take your eye off this round. Do not take anything for granted. You're entitled to nothing here, Falcons. And NQZ slowly but surely making moves out. The problem is that time now becoming a problem. And although they did connect a shot onto Tesses, dropping into 15, the strength in numbers and the group mentality of Falcons gets them to 11.
Man, if Snow gets that second kill, I mean, not to blame him, it's a really great entry, right? If you're the entry fragger like this, one kill and you've done your job, but the fact is, if he gets the second one cleanly, I doubt if the Falcons are going to be able to survive that particular attack. So it's very, very close this round, even if it ends up being a bit one-sided towards the end. But for Falcons, it's another step in the right direction. The mission is going pretty much according to plan right now, 11-8. So again, we should give them some credit because it's been kind of hard to get here. Nico at 21-8 and Dexter at 17-8. So between the two of them, they are a terrifying duo at the moment. And paiN, don't know if they have what it takes to actually come back into this one. Right now, the problem is they don't have the money to fund the comeback.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a lack of experience as well to facilitate the comeback on top of that.
Yeah.
Not having all of the different plays in the book, the mid-round calling, something that Biguzira is typically phenomenal at. And we saw it on Nuke multiple times, making these heads-up calls. I'm thinking about that ramp push that then turned into an A-hit that totally caught the Falcons off guard. He doesn't quite have that same playbook here on Train, and that is a problem, especially when you're trailing economically, but also in terms of rounds. It feels like maybe they've run out of steam.
50 seconds. Bomb plant would be much needed at this stage. Dexter ducking and diving around the train on that A-bomb site. Maybe the bomb planted here. The Molotov actually does bounce in the wrong direction. But at least the bomb's planted. Demo was always going to get hunted down. I don't think there was no place to stand. Nico, a little bit of frustration, even in victory, which is classic. Classic Nico.
You can't tell me if you saw that reaction out of context, you'd think they just won the round pretty convincingly there. Like, it just looked like they lost the match. Just shaking his head, rolling his eyes. Oh, Nico, never change.
You know, I choose to believe that the reason he is, like I said, really like once in a generational talent, it's because he cares so much, right? Like his, you know, like it's never good enough, right? There's always gonna be a mark that Nico wants to hit that's a little bit higher than the one that he's currently hitting, and I mean, that kind of mindset can drive you to some wild stuff, can't it? It also drives you to screaming into your hands, even if you're winning the round. But that's for our benefit. I agree, Vince. Never change, Nico.
I love that he has his teammates in his thoughts, though, because when he had that little rage-like shout moment, he did put his microphone up. Yeah. So at least his teammates weren't hearing the full brunt of it. You know, I respect that, Nico, a man of the people.
We need to make a product that's like a sound insulation bag that he can just scream into. It just drowns him. Now Tessus with a forward position. Another Ivy push coming out here, and if nothing else, it's distracted them so much. It's so much time off the clock where paiN just feel incredibly uncomfortable, and Tessus does manage to escape. Even steals the AWP back, so pretty good stuff here. He's going to be making us down alone at the B-bomb site. If he dies here, it is pretty awkward because, again, you get into the weird position where retaking is not easy. And he had the grenade shuffling out. He wanted to throw out the incendiary, so really nicely done. The only thing is the bomb is miles away. It's all the way around T-spawn.
Yeah, and they don't have that much time left either. It's going to take a good 15-20 seconds if they want to try and slowly move their way onto the site and not leave one of these angles unchecked. Snow, though, plays a pivotal role in this round, it has to feel, because he's on the flank, he's on the lurk, and now allows them to know his presence. This is going to play hell with the Falcons, but it's a good kill from Kixan, switching across to the AWP as well, but he's lost his life. And with 15 seconds, there should be more than enough time for the post-plant to come to fruition. And Nico in no position to stop the plant itself, but he is in a spot now to maybe take the clutch. 22 kills already to his name and funneling away the T's from one another with the smoke, but the peeking from MQZ has blown his kneecaps out, down to 55. Knows where one of the two players are, but it's about Davideus as well, who's just going to bide his time, wait for Nico to push onto the site and try and pick him off. But he's not sure as to where the second player is. Nico is going to fully commit to killing NQZ, has connected the shot, has the kit as well, and enough time. The bomb's planted, an awkward spot from Davideus, and that cost him his life. Nico with a vintage clutch and gets Falcons their first map.
That is the kind of focus and passion you expect. That's why he's screaming into his hands. He really does just care about the game, and it drives him to a clutch like this one. Absolutely fantastic.
The pressure and everything that's been applied to him, and I'm sure he's got a great sort of support structure around him, and he just seems to be chilling and vibing most of the time. Doesn't seem to be a super emotional player, which is definitely good. But another player I'd like to highlight as well here around this is NQZ, because for what Nico's been to Falcons, NQZ has been to paiN in this best of 3. He's also having a great experience. His performance on Nuke was insane, but he also did well on Train. So it's going to be a very interesting one here to see how Dexter and NQZ kind of fill out against one another. Obviously, Inferno can sometimes be a bit of a rough map for AWPers, but enough talk about the snipers. We're in the pistol round.
And NQZ actually ran back to spawn to pick up some more grenades. They only had the smoke and the Molotov to begin with. Now they have 2 smokes. Makes me think they're going to go for the B-bomb side at the end of it, but they will check out the A apartments because they want to make sure that Falcons aren't set up too aggressively up here so that it's way too telegraph what's going on. They could still be a B and execute, but just with the double smoke and the Molotov, it seems like it's going to be something else. Snow and Davideus to kick us off with a couple of opening kills. Oh, mid-air as Nico clips Bigozera and sends him to an early grave. 3 versus 3, and now they are going to change their minds. They didn't want to run into Nico, and who could blame them? Back to the A-bomb site they go instead. It's just Tessus here by the pit, and a jump in him. It's so mobile here for Snow, and Tessus unable to hit a similar shot. He needed Nico's aim to get that kill. Bomb's going to be planted. Smoke's going to be going up here, and a great position for paiN to be in.
Especially that smoke going down like you highlighted, because it basically blocked both Kixan and Nico, who are moving around together as united force. It's going to force them to now go into the short side, which plays way more into this pit crossfire that NQZ's built up alongside Snow. It's so difficult to get yourself across to the site when you know that you're basically funneled in. And the way that this structure works is effectively it's 1 by 1 into the Dragon's lair. And Snow devours them with haste. Again, paiN getting success in pistols.
It's so cool to see Snow have the ability to go for it. In a way, it's risky. You know it's Nico on the other side. You get the gush, and then you sort of go for it again. But the fact is, if you give Nico a lot more room to work with, that's also dangerous. Like, doing nothing is not always an option here. Sometimes you've got to find a way to just get a bit of an edge, even in a 2v3 like that. We know who Nico is, so nicely done. It's paiN to pick up the pistol round. It means they are in a slightly better position here. There's going to be some buys coming out here from the Falcons side, including a couple of HEs. FURIA is where they're going to end up using. Kixan already has his prime. Nico has the other one, so they're going to try and do some nade damage towards that top banana position at some point.
First one's been tossed out. Doesn't really do too much, though. Second one's still available for Kixan. No HEs available for paiN Gaming, but they have strength in numbers, and they've got tons of smokes and flashes to play with. Nico, though, was so often on point with his deagle in those opening 2 maps. So don't write him off from splattering a couple of craniums if they push towards him. They're going to slow down the pace, though, paiN. They're not really showing their hand as of yet, keeping their options open. Still 2 players in the apps area. Second mid, waiting to try and explode out onto A if that does end up being the call, but tossing in a smoke and keep the CTs interested as Davideus now pushes forward with the MAC-10.
Smoke actually, I don't think landed on the boost, which I'm assuming was the plan. Throwing that elevated smoke has become really important. I'm sure paiN Gaming know how. Maybe that one just was blocked in one fashion or another. Regardless, just a single player on the bomb side, and Dexter playing into the corner, turning around for a return flashbang to get absolutely blown up. So, save the rest, save the armor that you have on the Falcon side, and let paiN walk away with this one. Curious if paiN are going to be feeling very motivated to go for something. I guess you could with the MAC-10s. I mean, if you get a couple of kills here with them and you die, you're just going to be buying into AKs anyway, so maybe it's not a big loss if you throw some of them away. And it also means you're going to be playing another round here where you're not worried about a lot of armor and pistols, so Yeah, they're getting close at least.
Yeah, you can see them swarming together. 3 Mac 10s in play. Nico has bested Davideus, but there's still 2 more that came from. Demo has given his position away, though. So Kixan and Nico, they're up close now. Can try and make the most of this one. Flash in. Doesn't really affect Kixan, and Nico once again does deliver. But this is worthwhile for all the points Anders just raised. It is Nico holding on to his deagle, but he will be the only player with really anything to speak of into the next round instead of 3 pistols with armor.
Not a bad start here. T-side, you get a couple of rounds on the board. I mean, I feel like paiN are, you know, they've never really looked anywhere near as stressed as Falcons have in this series. Even when they've lost, you know, rounds and they've been behind, obviously on train, ultimately losing it. But throughout the whole way, they look like a really structured team. Great leadership from PGL. 3rd round is here. And still have some upgraded pistols. But it should be a matter of just finding out if there's a stack. They still have the Mac 10 on Davideus. It's going to be Nico again. You did highlight it earlier. It's something that he's well known for. Gonna land another kill on this one. Not the end of the world, but if he gets another one like that in the round, it does start to become very uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. It's also the position of where Big Azera died. It's going to be very difficult for anyone to get their hands on his weapon because it's down towards the T side of middle. So it's easy for paiN to just hold on to that one and safeguard it.
Somebody get the bomb, please. All right.
So just for you, Anders. They've still got plenty of time. Just shy of a minute left on the clock, and it will be Kixan on a P250 and 30 HP that has to try and weather this storm that's picking up wind, picking up pace. Demo shuts him down. That will be a 3rd round to paiN Gaming. A good start on the T side here. Falcons, though, have shown moments, but again, it's mainly been from the barrel of Nico's gun. No one else has really had too much to say.
Yeah, once again showing that, you know, he is a threat pretty much at all times. But for paiN, again, I think it's a sign of good leadership that even losing somebody early on like that, there's no real panic. Nobody's in a hurry to do anything. They're setting it up. They're making good decisions, and it does stop Nico from being able to roll that kind of deagle play forward round for round. So at the end of the day, really, it's going to be the next round before Falcons can do anything really interesting here. Tessus wants to run in and shoot someone in the back just to be a little bit annoying. Don't hate it. It just doesn't work out. 3-0 in favor of paiN. And the first test for Falcons is going to be coming up when they pick up the rifles here. We'll see if they can find a way to have more of an impact early on. Again, the fact that it's elimination, the fact that it's gone to a 3rd map, and Falcons have looked anything but comfortable in this series or any other series. I mean, this is obviously the best series that we've seen out of them in Bucharest, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty low bar, isn't it? Before this series, the most rounds they picked up on a single map was 6. So, yeah, getting their first map win, a huge deal. I'm sure a bit of a relief for Falcons, but they can't breathe too steadily. This is such an important round. Dexter getting aggressive down middle, has an expiry date. The second he shot fires off, he has to fall back. Also had no one really there to watch him. You'll often see teams put 2 players, one safeguarding the AWP, watching second mid. Nico, though, nearly caught with the grenade out, taking significant damage, but it's also put back in the pocket of Davideus with that high ordnance explosive. He's down to 46.
Yeah, trading grenades at the top of Banana. It's kind of a classic scenario. They do want to retake Banana at some point, but right now they've just put Dexter here. And actually, Nico's going to fall back. Low on health. They're going to say, all right, it's fine. Going to keep the AWP in this position. Backed up by Kixan, who's boosted up on the other side. It's not a bad idea, but the truth is still Dexter can get smoked out of here. And then it's just Kixan fighting on his own. So, yeah, I like the fact that Dexter's moving away, even if it looks like, no, they are kind of coming back. I think it's really critical that Dexter is not on the CT side with that AWP, because if you've got an M4 on the CT side, even if you get smoked, you can try and run through, or you can just spray through the smoke to help out your teammate. But with an AWP, it's not the same thing. So now he's back in the bomb site, and I much prefer that. But it will be down to these 2 events. 30 seconds, they have to hold the line.
Now, smoke tossed out for Kixan. He's anticipating a Molotov toss to the back of the new box. So he's being proactive. Dexter, though, nails the shot. This is the luxury that's afforded to him by not taking the first point at call. The downside is the Molotov now is going to finish him off on low HP, and now the dominoes begin to fall. The house of cards comes crumbling down, but Tesses, he's erecting a much solider foundation to build off, and Demo, although the plant has come down, he's in a 1-on-3. And it stands to reason he's probably not at the back of the site right now because they spotted 2 players there. So he's going to be using the coffins, hoping he's not put into one momentarily, but he's down to 27. He's been Molotoved off as well, and they heard the tick of damage. They're going for the full defuse, and there's not a damn thing that Demo can do about it.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. I mean, some nice, style points for him. 7 bullets in the AK. He just shot them and picked up another AK and tried to sort of see if he could do anything with it. But that was always going to be a very hard clutch for him, no question about it. It did take a while for them to really get the job done. I think you mentioned it, Tessus with a couple of kills really making the difference there. Because otherwise, if they just trade their way through for paiN, that's totally fine. But yeah, this is the real crucial moment. Tessus on that double spray down. Demo, if you had a Molotov in the last round, you actually can Molotov the bomb plant from the church. It can still be done, even in this version of the game, or of the map. So, he didn't have one, so obviously, you definitely can't Molotov it without the Molotov, logically speaking.
That would stand to logical reason, yes. Most certainly so. I am curious, though, about Falcons as well. It's like, you win that round, but if Testes doesn't pop off with that double kill, you know that you were on the brink of going 0-4 down, your economy being broken once again.
True.
You can't feel super confident right now. Like, I think paiN, yes, you lose it. It's going to be a grimacing blow, but I think bigazera's also got a bit of a smile on his face, like realizing we nearly had them. There's weaknesses here that we can exploit.
Nico just getting into position as they're walking near that smoke, but what a shot from Snow. He's not been afraid of challenging Nico in really any of his rounds. It's working out for him. He's going to take down Kicksan and blows it wide open. One single defender left with an AWP. How can you really survive this? Never mind the Dexter's already tagged up. It's going to be Teslas are dying. They're just dropping like flies across the map. They don't have anywhere near the economy or the momentum to suffer this kind of a loss. Dexter battling his way back and actually making a pretty good case for himself. They're now rotating back to the A-bomb side and right into the hands of Magus, who gets a double spray down. Oh my god, and a headshot drops Demo, and somehow they've saved Falcons. That should have been a round they should win every single time, paiN, and I think you could see bigazera there at the end really rallying the troops. He's not happy about that loss.
Oh, they just got a taste of their own medicine. bigazera molding about that. You can see he's so pissed. He knows that had to be their round. He knows their economy was hanging by the thinnest of margins. As you highlighted yourself there, Anders, going into Dexter's double on Banana. He has to be so frustrated. And that smile I was talking about has suddenly turned into a frown because it's their economy that's been punished. And that's the first time that I can recollect that it's actually Falcons that have pulled off a huge clutch round that they had no right being in. It's typically been paiN that have been stealing these rounds away.
Yeah, I think you're right. Essentially, it's this round and the 1 versus 3 for Nico at the end on Train, right? Like, those are the only 2 rounds that you would consider somewhat highlight-worthy in the sense of Falcons doing something that you'd want to see from a team of this caliber. Very nicely done. That could be such a critical round early on. Haven't yet seen Falcons with any momentum in any of their games here. It's been pure misery in Bucharest for them, but maybe this is the first opportunity for them to actually start to turn it around a little bit more. Hungry for the kills, so much so that they're practically blocking each other on the balcony to try and get a little bit more. Bit of bloodlust, perhaps. Davideus alone versus 5. Okay. It's a nice fadeaway. Taking down Dexter, put him in his place. But ultimately, the party is going to come to an end pretty soon here, even for Davideus. He's going to be found by Nico, and a quick recovery here as Falcons now at a 3-3 scoreline. But that's not even really the important part. I think it's more about the money and the momentum and the feeling that we can actually do something as a team. It's not, and not just Nico, even though he is top fragging.
He stopped fragging again, yes. That's a consistent factor throughout most of his careers we've highlighted, especially today. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think it's just about that one particular round. It's like the bigger picture. You had Falcons reeling. You had them grimacing and really just struggling in those opening 3 rounds. You had opportunities to put them down early on in this half. And that's why bigazera was so passionate, so animated, so pissed off, because he knows that it's a massive opportunity that they just let slip through their fingers. It's still early days. They can still punish, as they have just done now in the hands of Demo. Already picking up more frags here on Inferno than he did on Train. So a great turn of fortunes. So paiN's still a threat to contend with.
Yeah, again, Demo. He gets the first one. I think he might have even seen the gun barrel for Dexter, but he doesn't overplay his hand. It's such a great quality sign in a player, knowing when not to fight and just be happy that you got that opening and you don't push your luck, as they say. I feel like Demo's displayed that on a number of occasions. Round number 7 here, and already with a one-man lead. Is there going to be some kind of aggression in the middle here for Falcons? Flash to set it up, but you can see Snow is looking. Is anyone going to peek behind it? They do have 3 people on the other side of this wall, so if he peeks it right now, Snow, he's going to be in some trouble. But on this side of the map, it's just Kicksand. That's not a lot of defense to try and hold back. Oh my... Well, they're cheating. It's all right. It's all good.
That's what Kicksand's probably saying to himself.
Exactly.
With a few expletives maybe thrown in as well. Nico, oh, you can see what he was trying to do. Find that window of opportunity to jump straight through. And the way he's been playing, you can't blame him for it. But that's sometimes the other side of the story of like, screw it, I'll have to do it myself. Sometimes you do overextend. You do try to push your own abilities a bit too far. And that's one of those situations. That's a vital weapon that goes with him. Yes, they've got enough funds to buy again. But, you know, if we always talk about like the CT economy being a very fickle mistress. And Falcons don't want to fall into that trap again.
I think the reason why Nico's pushing through is that sometimes when you're the entry on the B bomb site, you could be so far ahead of your team, so you're just kind of there. And if you get a kill like that, which they don't on Kicksand, sometimes you'll push through, you'll take the B bomb site, and you're the only one there, and it's a long time before anyone else shows up. So Nico's got to be thinking, maybe if I'm fortunate, it's just Davideus on the other side, and I can push through, kill him, and then we're still in the round. I don't think he's thinking there's going to be 3 people or 4 on the other side, and I'll push through and try and win against every single one of them. He's made a calculation that the round just looks different, and he can't really know it. But I think it actually does make a lot of sense for him to try something like that. Either that, or it's a sign of a lot of desperation for him to try and say, okay, I've got to drop 30 kills in this game before we're going to try and win it. Timeout called at any rate, and paiN, 1-round lead. Economy is going to survive here on the Falcon side. But like you said, it's getting awfully close already.
I like the way you look at that, though, Anders. I honestly, I think you're onto something with that one. He tried to find that sort of window opportunity, as I mentioned, but just had maybe a slightly off timing on the call. You could see the rest of his teammates had already pretty much just given it up, and they were already backing off the save. So they do now have a decision to make. Demo, though, did crack open the round, and there is the Davideus smoke spam. And to be fair to Nico, if Davideus wasn't peeking back around to the CT spawn, he could have won that 1v1 trade, and things could then get quite difficult, quite different. Grenade damage is good, though, alongside the Molotovs to kick off the round. They go for the wide swing, and then QC gets Nico and buries him on Banana.
Huge opening. That's what you need. But Dexter will bring it back. It's Demo this time. Going down a bit early here, and Davideus is also very low on health, so it's kind of an awkward round. They still have Bigusira and Snow, more importantly. I feel like Snow's been getting so many amazing entry kills across Inferno already, so if he can give them another one right now, there's a lot to fight for still. Only 2 people at the A bomb side as they're shuffling around. I think they're going to try and, they're going to put Dexter with the orb over there, and then they're going to pull Kicksand back. But if you hit while they're rotating, it could work out. There's another entry for Snow. He is so good right now. Meg is dropping low on bullets. It's a team kill as well, and Kicksand showing up for that rotation just on time, running out of bullets. But there's going to be a second player coming in, Kicksand with a wide swing, and they will get the job done. I'm going to be honest, it is so close to that defense falling. If Kicksand is there a couple of seconds later, there's every chance that Magus is going to get taken down in the pit, and then there's definitely a bomb plant happening afterwards. But nice defense for Falcons. They needed it. It's a bit of a shame they don't survive with more people alive, but it gets the job done.
This is one thing a lot of people forget as well. Like, obviously, Magisk is not quite carried the same level from his Astralis days, I think it's safe to say, but at one point he was the best pit/apps player on the planet on CT side. He is a phenom in this position, as we saw there briefly. Some really impactful frags. And so that may very well continue on the CT side, and that's maybe one of the other reasons why paiN are focusing most of their attention on Banana. Flashes are good, and this time the opening pick does go the way of Falcons.
Davideus blown up while blind. They're going to make a pretty quick decision here, paiN. I love it. Again, NQC trying to get the opening, and it will. Tess's ends up getting dropped. He's only got 4 kills so far. It's not quite enough, but that probably couldn't have been a kill for NQC. If it was anyone but Nico, I'm going to suspect that would have been happening. Magus, like you said, far from his prime, and gets traded out pretty quickly. It's not a quick kill. It's, you know, a long spray down, so long that more people start joining the fight, and eventually they're going to overcome him. 2 versus 2. It's another high-pressure situation here for Falcons. Another scenario, likely, where Nico is going to get called upon to try and save the day.
The tantalizing prospect is we both have both teams with their best performing players still alive, though, in this 2v2. But it's bigazera that cracks it open to kick things off, and Snow finishes off a weakened Nico. But that's all bigazera in that 2v2. He did all the heavy lifting. And Snow will live to tell the tale as they take the lead. I love how back and forth this game has been so far. No blowout thus far on Inferno. But it's the Falcons that are going to be sweating that little bit harder.
I mean, you're right. This is really back and forth. This is what we want to see out of a match, especially when elimination is on the line. And again, it's another micro moment here where Snow just has no respect for Nico, and I say that in a really positive sense. If you look at the scoreboard and you see that Nico's on the other side, for most Counter-Strike players in the world, that's a moment where you just feel like, I'm already nervous. Like, my hand is already shaking. You have to play that like that's not the case. And it can be very, very hard to do. I feel like I've counted like at least 5 or 6 times where, I mean, Snow is just, he knows Nico's there and he just goes for it anyway. And I love it. Dexter, that's not bad at all. Slips right off that balcony. There's no railing anymore, so he can just fall right down into the pit. And Tessus with the 5-7. So a round that shouldn't have gone this way for paiN. They had the better weapons, and they've managed to kind of give a bunch of them over to Falcons. So this is actually a bit of a shame. What an opportunity for paiN if they hadn't been in this, in this round here, to actually get a huge lead and really shut down the Falcons' economy. Just a pivotal round here for the economy in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, this is as much of a failure, you'd have to say, considering the weaponry and the context of the situation, as that round previously where they called the timeout and bigazera was basically shouting at everybody, right? Like, that clutch where Magus picks up 3 from the quad, it's that kind of level, because, again, paiN have had this great opportunity to extend their lead, keep that economy broken down. This was a force buy with basically pistols and an MP9. Like, they were going into the very bottom of the barrel, and they were, you know, bargain bucket buy. And it could have been paiN, 7-4 in the lead, potentially, maybe even closing it out as an 8-4 lead, but now it's 5-5, and the economy, once more, is broken for paiN. That's 2 golden opportunities they've let slip on this third all-important decider map.
And you're only going to have so many of them. We are playing MR12. At the end of the day, just like we said, I think the first map, losing these kind of rounds, that's how you end up getting eliminated. And you know it. It's not like it's a mystery, right? For paiN Gaming, they understand it immediately. This isn't even the kind of round where you have to go back and have a team talk and try to figure out what's going on. Everybody knows it immediately. And I would say, when you lose rounds where that's the case, then the challenge isn't to understand what happened. The challenge is to forget and move on and say, okay, we all understand what went wrong. Let's just don't worry. We'll come back and do it better next time. Easily said, not so easily done here. Round number 11. Look at what they've got. A couple of Tech 9s. I mean, Tech 9s on Inferno, it is a classic, but can they actually make it work?
Return the favor of that previous round with Falcons on a bunch of pistols, but it's going to be a lot harder to do on the T side. Running gun coming into play, but instead it's a perfectly timed flashbang. They were fully blinded, and Kixan just gets the triple spray with the Galil, using that rifle against his adversary. And now paiN, they have really no options available. It's gone from bad to even worse at NQZ. I mean, he may feel like he has to try and save for the next minute plus with this AWP. It would be huge to take it into the next round, because they're going to have basically nothing else to go alongside it.
Yeah, sad for the viewership, because it means we've got a minute ahead of us where, you know, it's just a guy in the apartments. There's some artwork up there at the very least, and it actually does look very cozy. I don't know about you, Vince. I could live in a small space like that. I don't need a lot, you know, just a little, you know, little place for a PC, little fireplace, you know. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I've always thought that, like, if it was ever possible, I would just love to go live in the cabin in the woods somewhere, as long as I have good internet and a PC. So I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, that is the dream, especially you know, especially in the modern world where things seem to be increasingly unstable. You know. Far away. Far away from other people. Might even be better without the internet, if I'm going to be honest, Vince. Like, you know, might just be better. Just cabin in the woods with nothing else, no people. Nicely done. But yeah, they should hunt. Even if they lose everything here, it's going to be worth it. So just try and get this off away. You're absolutely right. They can't rebuy it. They don't have any cash. Wow. Blown up.
That's a sour way to go, isn't it? He's just starting to feel himself. His Molotov's down. He's like, right, I'm doing this. I'm the hero. I'm one of those Spartans. Not quite. Blown to smithereens. And that's going to make this next buy, or lack thereof, really tough. If you thought this was bad with Tech9s and an AWP, it's about to get a whole lot worse for paiN Gaming. Solid shutdown. And this is another situation where if you're paiN, you're looking back at those 2 rounds that you let slip by, that you really just faltered to. And it's going to hurt that little bit more because you know you could have had a big lead come the end of this half, and now you're down to just Tech9s.
Because this going to be a waterfall play out of apartments if they can get there. I'm guessing they're going to try and silent boost up. Yeah, because Apogee is setting up so they, well, they're bumping into each other. I don't know what's happening anymore, but if they ever get through this part of the map, NQC is going to try and... Oh, guys. Hello. All right, there we go. So NQC is going to try and flash and smoke them in towards the, well, maybe the middle of the map. That could be the case too. Or the apartments. It was going to be, well, never mind, he's dead. So it's all hacked. Now we go. Snow gets the entry anyway. It's a lot of chaos on the paiN side. And Tess is actually with some remarkable spray going to be taking down Demo, and Davideus leaves just Bigozera and Snow still in a very tough position here. They wanted to get through the middle. And that is another great kill. Snow is 13 and 6 right now. And he's had Nico's number in almost every engagement.
Yeah, like if Nico is the kryptonite of Donk, then Snow is the kryptonite of Nico, it seems. The Brazilian Donk having the last laugh. Great performance by him. 13 frags, but even with all of those great moments in this round, it has still very much gone in favor of Falcons, and the work has not even been close to completed as of yet. 30 seconds left to try and push onto the B side. They have Kixan, who is healthy with the A4, and a very low Snow. And Bigozera of just a Tech-9. They're going to have to get this kill clean. Smoke out onto CT side now alerts the presence for Falcons, and they can start to make a move around from that A site where 2 of their players are currently sitting. Kixan, if he can get a kill before he dies, that's huge.
Yeah, and he played so far back. He's really smart. He's as close to he can be, really, as not engaging in the fight at all, which is what he should be doing. To stay far away, don't let him turn it into a 2 versus 2. And because of that, he's pretty much good around here. It's Bigozera in the back with an AWP. He's got the first one. Grenade on top, and he does go down to Tessis. So Falcons going to be entering the second half with a 7-5 lead. It's not a commanding lead. It's not one that you could never throw away. But again, it's a lot better than what we've seen out of Falcons throughout this entire tournament. So a couple of high fives, and we're going to be ready to go for that second half. paiN, they need to step it up. They need to win some of those advantageous rounds, and they probably need to win this pistol round too.
It certainly feels that way. And this is where you've got to put those rounds. I'm sure the thought is crossed through Bigozera's mind, like, oh god, like we really could have had such a different outcome in this half. But you got to somehow just put that into a distant memory, focus on the task at hand. Christ, Nico. He's got that 1,000-yard stare, hasn't he? He's seen some stuff, Anders. He's been in some Counter-Strike teams, I'll tell you.
Oh. Yeah. What Counter-Strike does to a motherfucker. It's rough out here, Vince.
It would be like one of the biggest travesties, though, because Nico's 28 years old. You know, you were talking about this before. It really would for me as well. I echo your sentiments. The biggest travesty if he doesn't win a major before as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's silly, but I have spent my entire adult life watching Counter-Strike, so it does actually mean a lot to me. Like it would forever be something that I would be thinking about. Like I wouldn't sleep easy at night forever, basically thinking about the fact that, you know, it could have happened, it should have happened. There's really, I think there's only one other player ever in Counter-Strike history that I can think of that is, you know, I would be putting in a conversation with Nico, and that's simple. And that should tell you something, you know. For me, those two are, you know, they're really, really rare players. But that's not the same. Like, this is a team game, right? You can't really win a major on your own, unfortunately. So, here we go. It is going to be the B-bomb side that's going to be under attack, and it's going to be a lot of Molotovs, a lot of smokes. The Molotovs won't actually hit Snow, but it doesn't matter. It means they can focus all of their attention on Snow. They don't have to check any of the corners here, and that's good enough on its own. So here we go. No delay. They're going to be cracking right into it.
Molotovs do stop their trajectory, though, to hard clearing this Coffin's position, so maybe Snow can rattle a couple of domes, but TeSeS is too fast on the trigger, and that's why I highlighted how sad and disappointing it's been that he's dropped off so much, because the guy is a crazy talent when he's feeling it. He's had some massive frags, the double spray down from the arch side, but now it's down to the rest of paiN. 4v5 to go for the retake. They don't have a kit, but they do have a ton of grenades and Big Azera.
This will be a very unlikely retake. One flash already in the air, and now they're good to go. They have to power on through, but they're lost in the smoke at the same time. Dexter, stunning headshots coming out. He does run out of the bullets eventually, but his teammates are there to take on over, and a very nice afterplant being played here. Falcons, they love it. They already had the lead, and now they're going to win the pistol on the second half. And they actually did throw the Molotov back towards the Coffins, which I think is a really rare sight. I thought they were going to Molotov basically oranges a new box and then smoke off CT spawn, but they actually threw the Molotov for Coffins, which is kind of interesting. Don't really get to see that too often, so nice little, you know, I don't think it made a big difference. It's just not what you're normally seeing. But well done, Falcons. They can feel it.
Yeah, they know the importance of that pistol round. It's just given them a huge advantage. Chances of them getting victory here and staving off execution for a little while longer for this elimination game is pretty significant. But there is a force buy from paiN, and they can punish Falcons as they have so often today. Well-timed smoke is going to keep the Vikings at bay for the time being. The pillage and plunder won't quite start just yet on the B side.
Yeah, and they're going to try and rotate in more smokes to this position. This is a funny thing to watch, because Falcons, they will know what this is too. They're going to go back and check, is there another smoke being thrown? Now they're going to essentially try and force that smoke out with Kicksan here. But eventually, if you get down below, you know, sub 25, 30 seconds, and there's still another smoke on the CT side, it can be very, very hard to break through. Even if you have the better weapons and everything else, it's just an uncomfortable position to be in. But Falcons, they're making choices, and that's what you need to do sometimes. Jump around the corner, right into a couple of SMGs, and the choices are not really working out for the minute here. The MP9s are actually coming out on top, and now they're going to wrap around short instead. Right for the smoke, like I said, all you need is one more, and Dexter goes down. I can't believe it, but the MP9s are crushing Falcons. Oh, man, elimination might be back on the menu, Vince.
I think it is, with a side order of just desperation. Oh dear, oh dear. Your economy in the bin. Multiple weapons picked up. An eerie silence on the comms for Falcons, because they have just been spanked off MP9s and pistols. They funneled them away from Banana with a well-placed smoke on Snow. And they're just everything. It's just so one-sided. Just the one frag from Magisk. How can you justify that?
How could you not love Snow? Like, that level of enthusiasm. You know, that's the kind of energy you haven't ever seen on Falcons, which is probably not the only problem that they're having, but, you know, even just as a spectator, you see how much it means. He is fired up. 8-6. They're still behind here. Don't forget that, but at the same time, they get back into the second half way earlier than they should have. And that could put a little bit of pressure on Falcons here. Got Nico back in the middle with the Deagle, so he's hoping that there's going to be someone far forward. Appreciate the fact that paiN they're not trying to risk too much. They're really far back on the map. Yeah, this is what they should be doing.
Are we going to have a third consecutive pistol round force buy, or somehow, someway get a W? Gaming, well-placed incendiary. He's going to keep TeSeS and Kicksan with their Deagle stuck on middle. It clumps them up. They're going to start to back away. They know that a naps push is possible, but instead it's Big Azera prevalent with the MP9. The spams down one. Can't quite connect onto TeSeS fully. Weakens him to 350. 30, I should say, HP and $350 in his back pocket, but they're now going to start to push over onto B. Snow gets the first frag and the second, and now the cavalry's arrived. It looks like, just for a moment, there was a chance for the Falcons, but it's been slammed closed in their face.
Again, I'm just going to repeat this. Just a lot of praise for Snow in this moment. that is another classic scenario where you want to double down. You know you've got the better weapons. You're holding that banana corner. You're thinking, I could probably swing and get a couple of kills here. He falls back instead. And that falling back, one, it gives him a pretty good high ground advantage there. It also buys time for his teammates to get there. So delaying the fight by another 5 seconds is a massive difference. And making those kind of choices, it really makes a big difference. It could easily change the round if he's a little bit too aggressive, too confident, like, I've got it, the MP9, I'm sick. He's having a fantastic game, right? He's 15-8, so it is the kind of game where you could see a younger player make mistakes, but he isn't doing that, and you should really be praising that. Oh my god! A nuclear bomb on Falcons and ace for Big Osira. Call him Big Osilla because he just crushed the villagers in Falcons' little city there. That's remarkable. What is going on, Vince?
Oh. Oh, that was so sick. Just the scoreboard just lights up. HG. Oh, they're on top of Molotovs. Stuck in. A bit of a counter-argument maybe to some people saying that, look, it's going to be super T-sided now up on Banana. You can't land the incendiaries. You can't land the HGs. Or Biggest Error's like, screw that noise. I'll have myself an ace.
I can't believe it. That is just so ridiculous. Oh, my God. All right, no more laughing. We're back into round number 17. I'm slightly losing my mind here because this game, again, it started with an enormous amount of misery as we were watching Falcons lose just very advantageous rounds on Nuke, but then they made up for it on Train and started to get back into it. Now we're on the third map here, and it is back and forth. 8-8. The scoreline is tied up, and there is quite a bit of money on paiN, even even after this. They've also, managed to steal a couple of rifles there, so AK, Galil on that side. But Falcons, if they can't win this round, they're going to run on the cash, and paiN are going to be getting a pretty good lead.
Oh, yeah. Pressure is pretty sharply shifted away from paiN, considering that they were at a bit of a deficit after that second pistol went the way of Falcons. And now the economy does give them a little bit more wiggle room. However, Falcons, they managed to sneak their way up onto the archers. The timing here is going to work in Tess's favor. Does wing and clip the wings of NQZ. Drops him to 73, but he can withstand this and just back away. The downside is, though, the arch control is firmly in favor of the Falcons. 25 seconds left. They've got to push the site here, and they do have the opening picks. Demo and Davideus both down. NQZ, though, holds the line for 2, but it will be 2, and then he is done.
When you give up arch and short like that, the pincer maneuver that you get on that A-bomb side is so incredibly hard to hold back. Even if you have 3 people there, you could tell a lot of CTs near the A-bomb side. You think, oh, that's probably going to be okay, but it's such a hard fight. And also the issue is that you're so vulnerable to flashes coming over the actual wall itself. Just nothing comfortable about it. Falcons, I think you said it exactly right. The amount of map control they were allowed to have rotating or wrapping around the bomb site like that, ultimately what ended up winning the round for them there. So huge, like we said. They had to do it. They really needed this round or they were going to fall very far behind. So job done, 9-8. And they're going to be able to keep the battle going a while longer. But paiN, they can rebuy a lot into this one. They have so much money in the bank.
Yeah, precisely that. Issue is, though, that those funds are going to deplete ever so quickly. Alarm bells maybe ringing a little bit, and it's that timing that Tess has found. Like, it forced NQZ to back away, and it opened up that avenue of aggression that could go through. You know, you were talking before, and I completely agreed with you about how Snow he's like this controlled, aggressive player. We know he has the capabilities to explode and get in the face and get up in the grill of Nico and everyone else. He has no fear, but sometimes you can fall into the issue of being a bit too passive, of not being aggressive enough, and I think it's a fine line that paiN are trying to navigate right now.
It is so hard to do because, just a little bit too far one side or the other, and you could get punished for it. Boosted up is Nico. It means Big Osira is in a very tough position. If he swings this wide, he is going to die. He might anyway. He needs a flashbang or something to set it up. I don't think it matters any longer. Traded out or killed in the corner. Not even traded. It's going to be some damage on the Kixan and Tess's, but not enough to make it worth it. So, pretty good job for Falcons.
They get the kill they're looking for. Back away into Banana. Still a minute on the clock. Some damage done, but definitely worth the opening pick onto bigazera. It did feel like they weren't anticipating just how quick the Falcons would get up. They were trying to line up a pop flash, but it came about 3 seconds too late from Snow. And then he immediately had to deplete his smoke. So Snow on no grenades. This is forced Demo to go and join him right now because he does have a few to utilize, one of which is an incendiary tossed in. HG also is going to be following it up, but this is leaving themselves bare on A site. It is only NQZ here by himself, and the bomb is starting to make a move back over onto that side of the map.
Honestly, I would even say NQC just go back to the B bomb side. I just don't think this is... Yeah, well, never mind. I would have said stack 3 on B and forget about it. I don't ever think it's going to be worth it to try and stick around like this. And, you know, obviously on the other side of things, if they really had gone for the B-bomb side, you would have had 3 people there, and you probably win the round. But yeah, easily said. NQC obviously trusting himself that he was going to be able to get 1 kill. I think even if he gets a kill, it doesn't matter, right? Like that, he's still going to fall back after that. So yeah, just do it beforehand. But that's usually a bit easier to say when you're not in the server. Either way, it's 10-8. It means Falcons, they have a 2-round lead, for those of you who are not so quick with the math. And, I mean, they're getting closer right now. Elimination is on the line. We're going to keep saying it because it really does make a big difference. Falcons, they've had, I mean, one of the worst performances we've ever seen out of Falcons. Which, again, is probably saying a lot, but here at Bucharest, it's been so miserable. I mean, I really can't believe GamerLegion and against Complexity, just, they got nothing done.
I really think that last round as well, and is like, as we have a timeout call from paiN, understandably so, because of the situation that you've painted for them. But I think that last round really shows how beautiful a game Counter-Strike is. Like, this idea of the domino effect, sort of chaos theory, butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it. One mistake, one micro decision can have vast reverberating consequences for a team. So their bigazera dies. Snow has to utilize all of his grenades. It forces a rotation from A to B, and then that becomes 2, because then Demo's grenades are running out. NQZ is stuck alone, he dies, round done. It just goes to show like the beautiful like little micro adjustments that can have massive impacts at this level of CS.
Yeah, that absolutely is how it plays out, and it's one of the hardest things to catch as well. I mean, especially when we're just watching it, you know, we're trying to spectate all 10 players at the same time, basically. Another thing, you talked about like the timing and they weren't ready for it at top banana. It's entirely possible that Falcons constructed that moment by not throwing certain grenades that they normally would be for a top banana take. So, you know, you throw a bunch of grenades almost every round when you take top banana, and then you don't throw them in that round because, you know, you're going to go forward and catch bigazera instead. So it's very likely that there's those kind of mind games. You know, if you go back and watch the demo, which we should at some point, I bet we can see the pattern and how they actually accomplish that. Because it's not like it's just a question of paiN falling asleep and, you know, thinking, oh, we're just not going to be ready at all. They're being conditioned for something else, and then that gets taken away from them all of a sudden, and they're just completely caught. So I'm sure that something like that is probably at play. Now, Dexter has gone down at the start of this round, so 4 versus 5. Like we said, these are the rounds that you need to win if you're on the paiN side here. You're not going to get a lot of great chances like this, but you've come away with a kill, you've lost nobody. Nice foundation.
That's exactly what paiN were hoping for. Post that timeout that they called is to get a good start into the round, just settle themselves down a tad. The issue is, though, that we've seen they've been caught a couple of times in rotation. It's always easier not to fall into that trap when you have the player advantage and the grenades that come alongside that. 35 seconds and TSS lining up the Molotov. Tossing that in. That's towards the box. Not going to affect either of the players directly, but the flashbangs are good. Double spray down comes in. Snow gets spawned. Can readjust, relocate. It is a team kill, but bigazera, he has to shut down the players where he can. They're fine with this. And Snow's hyped again.
Yeah, he's happy to get shot in the back if it means they win the round. And, you know, those are the kind of executive decisions you have to make sometimes. You know, you're on the front line, Vince. You know, soldiers aren't getting out of the trenches. You just gotta, you know, just gotta do what you need to do, basically. But nicely done.
Set an example, Anders, you know.
Yeah. Does generate a lot of respect, doesn't it? Frustration is growing on the Falcon side. And they can feel it coming. 1 round difference here. Nicely done from Kicksando. Runs the entire stretch and just explodes bigazera. That's what you need.
And it's the complete opposite of how the last round went. We're talking about getting that opening pick is so huge for the CT side, really alleviates some of the pressure, but losing a first player, especially bigazera on 14 frags, second top fragger on his team. He is able to now pull the strings from his demise, but
Look at the
man,
call
if this
here.
doesn't put paiN in an awkward spot.
It does. So they're going to be leaving NQC with the AWP over in B. Like I said it earlier, if you're playing that CT side, you're gambling quite a bit that they're going to peek you and not smoke you. If they smoke you, it's going to be tough to do anything with the AWP. So he's hoping that if they ever show up at the B bomb side, it's going to be a peek. And, well, he's already been smoked off. But the upside is that they have a lot more presence over at this A bomb side. With 3 people already here, maybe this gamble is going to be working out. Falcons are walking into the more heavily guarded part of the map. Demo's down. He's got an incendiary. Oh, but he gets caught right with a grenade in hand. And Davideus trying to stay alive. It's not going to be for long, though. And Snow gets traded out as well. The timing on pulling out that incendiary, unfortunately for Demo, it's a classic Counter-Strike moment, and it will cost them the round.
It will. NQZ at least will try and hold on to his AWP and really should be afforded that luxury. The economy of Falcons nowhere near good enough to justify running them all into a potential meat grinder. So yes, 11-9, just with a finish line within touching distance. It feels like paiN maybe going to come up short. It's rough to see, but losing so many opening jewels we've been discussing multiple times on Banana, it's always going to put you into this kind of a spot right now. I mean, when you look at the opening jewels, by the way, there's 4 players on Falcons that have 3 in their favor. It's only Magisk that has 0 to his name. So it's really been a collective effort. We've seen Kixan just wide swing, instantly tap Big Azera. Nico's done it multiple times, and so is Tesses. So you're getting to that kind of point now where paiN, it's like, we got to stop the bleed. Like, how do we stop losing the first player?
That's kind of an insane statistic because normally, you know, those entry frags are so rare. Like, you're happy if you even have one player that's doing a good job at entry fragging. Never mind, you know, almost the entire team. Oh, I wish we could rewind that round and just see what would have happened if he had the gun out instead, or if the first point of contact had been Davideus with the MP9 instead, who was up on the ledge, because either one of those scenarios, and that defense is probably way stronger. Timeout called for paiN. They are looking to bounce back before Falcons get into that 12-round mark, and they have to fight for overtime instead. But it is not easy. You can see it slipping out of their hands here. They've done great at this tournament. Demo's just been, you know, thrown into this team last minute. From what we know so far, it seems like there's a chance they're going to try and pick up DGT in the future, which I think he's a really strong player. So I think that would make paiN probably a lot stronger. But obviously, it means for this tournament for paiN, it is always going to be very, very hard to do. And I think in light of that, they've actually played a fantastic tournament in many ways. Falcons, they just need to survive, like you said. Keep it going a while longer. It's seeing people in spawn, so we're going to have a bit of a reset here. Fair enough.
Yeah, and of course, DGT hailing from Uruguay and the 9Z team, who have done some pretty decent things in the sort of South America, North America matchups and tournaments that we've seen. I agree with you. I think that would be a huge pickup, to be fair. I think that would be an upgrade over Coez. No disrespect to Coez, but DGT is a pretty damn good player in his own right.
The only, like, so that 9C team, the only thing that's so frustrating about it, because I actually really like that team. They're really fun to watch, and, you know, like, they actually are stronger than maybe you'll give them credit for, which is going to be true for a lot of teams who are sort of in that space, or, you know, in the world ranking. But the thing is, they have Martinez, and I'm not saying save Martinez, just to say that Martinez is such a fun player to watch, and he's actually so sick, and it feels like he could go, like, to bigger places in some sense, just to say. But, yeah, maybe that is something that's going to be happening in the future. We're not short on roster changes these days, so just a matter of a couple of weeks or months maybe, and maybe something will happen. It's 11-9 at any rate, and a double setup here in the apartments for the CT side. Davideus is going to get the one, but Tessus, they must have lined right up for him. NQC gets blown up, and now Demo is the only defense right now. And again, caught slightly with a grenade in his hand, and Tess is absolutely punishing him. Relentless aggression. That's going to be round number 12 here for Falcons. There's no way they can lose this round.
And this is why it feels like such a massive hole when Tessis is not performing, because he is capable of madness. He's capable of going toe-to-toe with Nico on his days. He is such a good player. As we saw there, a little bit of an awkward lapse of judgment maybe on that Apps push. I like the idea from paiN, but the spacing wasn't very good. They lined up for that Tessis double spray. It's the third kill as well on top of it that just cracks it open. And now, unfortunately, we are into the end game on the side of paiN. 3 elimination points coming up. Their economy, if they can keep both of these rifles, and that's a big if because they're being hunted down by Nico and by Tesses respectively, with plenty of cash to play with going through into the latter rounds. If they can hold these 2 rifles, maybe there is a way they can try and carve a path, but they've lost one of them. And Nico will not be satiated with that one frag. It's Kicksan that seals the deal. No survivors. No mercy.
So worth it. Such a good call for Falcons to absolutely make sure that they steal everything back. Yeah, take no hostages towards the end. Get the rifles out of the hands. Yeah, look at this. It's not even clear if Tessus sees the second player, but the bullets connect regardless. 12-9. Falcons a round away from surviving elimination, at least for now. Doesn't mean they're in the playoffs or anything like that. It's a long road back for them, but it might be the beginning of something. And again, it's an aggressive move coming out here. They have so little to work with. 3-man setup with the MP9s and an absolutely crazy flashbang to set it up as they start the defense. It's Tessus to get a headshot on Demo. They are dropping quite low, but at least it's still a 3 versus 3.
Still a 3v3, but just by the narrowest of margins. NQZ is hanging by a thread. The walking wounded, limping his way on 19. And he has the only SMG. 5.7s, though, we've seen what they're capable of. Snow, in particular, has had a bunch of highlight moments with that very gun. But there's still time, and all 3 of Falcons playing together as a united force, saying, listen, if you pick one of us off, that's fine, because we'll get the upper hand. But they are walking into a double stack that may catch them off guard. Biggest error, though, can only get one. And that might be the last moment for paiN to have anything to say about their standing at PGL Bucharest. It's down to Snow in a 1-on-2 with that 5.7. Good news is he's healthy. Bad news is the post-plant's coming in.
Such a hard round to win. If anyone could right now on the paiN side, it would be Snow. Gonna find an AWP, probably not exactly the weapon that he wanted, and the fact that there's a smoke up as well, she's been refreshed, so he has to go through it. There's no choice. He can't wait it out for 20 seconds. Gonna throw down one of his own, a flash to follow it up, but this is nearly impossible. They're hiding inside of the site. That AWP is not the weapon of choice, but it might be better than the 5.7. It will not make a difference this time. Tessus to shut it down, and Falcons, they get to live another day. Instead, paiN eliminated from the tournament. What a struggle this game was.
It was. That's the key word. It was a struggle. And I think, honestly, paiN can hold their heads high. When you look at the teams that